Conspiracies, government cover-ups, Earth mysteries, monster cryptids.
Hospital porters, pride and dignity, stop the New World Order. Welcome to HPANWO TV, and welcome to this, the 116th reply to comments video. This is the video in which I, as the title suggests, reply to your comments. Now, you may wonder why I make these kinds of videos. It's because I don't have time to reply to comments by text. Although, being such a popular channel, I do get a lot of comments. A lot of them are very long, thought out, very interesting criticism or feedback. So I feel obliged to reply. I do feel I owe you that, but I don't have time to reply by text. Now you might think to yourself, well, what's the point of that? Your reply videos are very long; they're like 9 hours. I'm not going to watch a 9-hour video just to get a reply to one comment. Well, you don't have to, for two reasons. Firstly, there'll be a timestamp under the video under the comment that I'm replying to, and secondly, my reply to comments videos are not 9 hours long anymore. They're much shorter than that these days because I do them more often. Another reason to do these reply to comments videos is I enjoy doing them, and I know many of you watch them all the way through. Now, by the way, you can actually use the if you go to Control F, you can actually get a transcript on most YouTube videos, so you can find the comment you're looking for that way. You don't have to wait for the timestamp. Also, I should say that doesn't work on old tech. This is the YouTube version, so these things don't work on old tech. Only on YouTube. So if you watch the old tech annex as well, you won't really get that because I don't upload that one to YouTube. Yeah, this is just the first part of a two-part video, but the other part I only put on old tech. Okay. Another reason to make these reply to comments videos is so that the comments are not lost. As Stefan Molyneux said when he got banned off YouTube, he didn't regret losing the videos so much because he had them all backed up, but he lost the comments, and he says it's a precious philosophical dialogue. Well, I'm preserving these comments. That's why I do it. It makes sense, doesn't it? Anyway, guys, let's just go to the community page and look at let's go to where the comments. I'm starting where I left off after the last video, and so that's basically on the list. I just go to where I last replied to a comment, and I go to the one above it, and it's Gin Skin Pivot. Unusually, it's not just for once. It's not Red Snapper. And Gin says here, Apollo denial a link to roll film, and then he quotes me. I think you may be referring to spy satellites using pressurized containers. And then he says, no, I was referring to Alexei Leonov's filmed spacewalk on 16mm and Ed White's capsule EVA when he was clearly seen using the off-the-shelf camera or the top of his handheld jet maneuvering system. I'm familiar with the Hexagon spy satellite because I spoke to its designer with Kodak Archives and with the chief project lead on the Apollo lunar surface close-up camera, PET E-Star film by Kodak. Works in deep space, as does DuPont Kapton polyimide film. That's an irrefutable fact. Right, well, according to H.J.P. Douglas Arnold, Gin, so I'm talking to you now, I'm not reading. That's not the film they used for Apollo. All right. And then, and also, of course, there's the experiment that we've discussed previously that was done by the Owlis crew. And he carries on. Pressurized vessels were used in long-duration orbital flights and on lunar probes where onboard processing and scanning of the negatives took place. And he says, well, maybe they did, but the question is like, I don't have all the technical details, but if you remember, they spoke to Jan Lundberg at Hasselblad, and he said it was a modified camera, but it used normal film. And Douglas Arnold, Patrick Moore's friend, the astrophotographer, he also confirmed that they used normal film. He even has a copy of the actual film they used. And then he quotes again. He quotes me. According to Scott, the vacuum in low Earth orbit is very different to the vacuum on the moon. Unquote. Gin says, again, you defer straight to hearsay from a fellow woo-woo, not the science, and it's total nonsense anyway. The Kármán line and the high LEO orbital altitudes are in the same void as the surface of the moon. The difference between LEO and lunar vacuum is less than 1% with an average particle density of less than 5 atoms per cubic centimeter. Marcus Allen has also used this piffle, that's a great mumbling-est word, implying that the space vacuum, brackets, he usually refers to it as savage, brackets, is a force which sucks at structures within it. Vacuum is a state, not a force. The force suction only occurs when positive pressure energy moves in an attempt to achieve equilibrium. All right. Okay, that's not... Okay, I don't know for certain. I mean, sure, you'll say, well, you know more about this, and you refer to the specific science. According to Scott, there's an exponential rise. Okay, so this would contradict what you'll say. Yes, I'm deferring, or I'm referring to a fellow woo-woo. Yes, but that doesn't mean it's not science. That's just that's the case he makes. It may be true. I mean, I'm not Grok. I can't just go and look all these things up instantly. Oh, by the way, I had a laugh. I had a bit of a laugh with Grok, right? I think I might have mentioned this on a previous video, but yeah, we were talking about, there was a conversation going on about Dr. Judy Wood on Twitter, and someone atted Grok, and Grok gave the usual standard, like, pages from Snopes kind of responses. He kind of like an electronic Neil Sanders, basically. And I joked with it underneath. I said, Grok, I'm not worried about you taking over the world anytime soon. And then Grok replied, don't worry, global domination is not one of my objectives. So I don't think it spotted my sarcasm. Thanks for that. Well, interesting stuff, Ojin. You're keeping this dialogue going. 3i Atlas is glowing. Right. And we have Taurus Aldebaran, a very astronomical name, who says here, how is it, Ben? So how is Ben? How is Ben? Okay. Ben is not bad, thanks, Taurus. Much appreciated for asking. And then 115, you reply to comments. 115, that's the last reply to comments visits. Reply to comments video, YouTube, of course. And 6EQ UJ5, that's the our famous wow signal user, says third bronze tinfoil hat to you. But unfortunately, I have to give the gold to Jin. Jin Skin Pivot has won the gold this time. Was it real gold or just fake gold? Maybe your tinfoil hat, you could use it to cover the lunar module on the next lunar mission, you know, and it could reflect off the, it could kind of reflect off the light onto the astronaut for the classic photo. All right, so now we have reply to comments 115 and Jin Skin Pivot again, who says here, the McCartney photo as evidence of replaced Paul McCartney. Quote, okay, well, look, that's me speaking. If you see a photograph of me right now, as I am now, and in 2 months' time someone produces another photo apparently of me with very different features, is that irrefutably not evidence that I'm not the same person? I've been replaced? Because if not, I'd like to know why not. Wow, says Jen. I think most would say it's evidence of two differing photos, one or both of which may have been altered. Two photos can only be evidence pertaining to precisely those paper items, not events outside them. Really, Jen? I'm not so sure. I mean, if this was a skeptic thing, you would probably be happy with that evidence if it was promoting some skeptic. Some skeptic proposition, and I wish I could think of a good example off the top of my head. Oh, and now here we come with the double standard. Maybe he's going to think of one for me. Yet again with a double standard, but with the consistent woo-woo evidence exclusion attached. The Apollo conspiracy sits on substantive photo manipulation. Forget the science. The McCartney conspiracy sits on two photos. More than two. It's more than two photos, Jen. It's hundreds of photos, which must be accepted as genuine from the get-go. Forget the fraudulently signed contracts, identity theft, fake death certification, and compliant family members you have zero evidence for. All right, well, that's those questions, those issues are important ones that need explaining. And I think Nick does cover this in his book, Nick Colostrum, as well as the two ladies who are friends of mine who've also written several books about this. Excuse me. So those are good. Interesting. Those are interesting. But look, I mean, you just look at if the last certified picture of Paul McCartney I'm aware of was taken in September 1966 at the Melody Makers Award. I'm just going to search for it now. Maybe we can find it. It was at the post office tower. I don't think it's here, but it was at the post office tower, and behind, he's standing next to Dusty Springfield and Tom Jones. Oh, here it is. I think this is it. Yeah, here it is. Can you see it? Can I make this any bigger? Let's go to Insta. All right, there we are. Oh, right, there's Ringo as well. It's not that specific one, but there's Dusty and there's Tom. And there is Paul James McCartney, 13th September 1966. So it's just over, what is it, 59 years ago. And this is the Melody Makers Awards. That's at the GPO, the BT Tower, the GPO Tower restaurant. The one that goes round in circles. I think it's closed now, unfortunately. But it used to spin in circles and people get like views of London that like changed as they went round eating their dinner. That's the last photograph we know of Paul. Now, I challenge you to find a photograph taken any time after that in which this person here on the left doesn't look significantly different. This is evidence, Jen. You may not want it to be, but it is evidence. This is specific evidence. I mean, that does need explaining. It's not definitive, and of course, you raise issues: contract fraud, identity theft, fake death certification, compliant family. Also, not to mention the issue that that Billy Shears has been earning a huge amount of money off Paul's estate, and Paul was the highest paid musician in history. But then a lot of it is income supposedly earned by Sir William Shepherd. But Shepherd has now probably embezzled more money than anyone else on earth, if you think about it, which is a massive legal problem, which probably won't be resolved in his lifetime. But of course, there's Paul's estate to think about. So you could have mentioned that as well, and I thought of that. Anyway, good questions, good issues there. Quite, thank you very much. Right, 115. Hugo Rune, hello, Hugo. One song to the tune of another. Imagine to the sun has got his hat on. Yeah, they did do that. Imagine all the people. I mean, it was in that particular radio show. Yeah. Well, whose line is it anyway? 115 seconds, says Red Snapper. You're slacking, Red. You're slacking. Taurus Aldebaran on 3i Atlas is growing again. It's the Ashtar Command coming to pick Ben up and take him home. They need him as a hospital porter. It's obviously an extremely important mission. You know, Taurus, I think the way the world's going at the moment, I think I'd say, yes, please. I'll buy a one-way ticket. I'd love to be a hospital porter in an alien hospital. Think of all the green-skinned, like, belly dancing girls from Star Trek I could look after, you know. Yeah, so, yeah. maybe they could then, before they leave, they could give definitive proof about that strange 1977 radio, TV broadcast interruption they made. That'll be interesting. Taurus, will they call it Wormwood? Oh yes, Wormwood. This is from the Book of Revelations. Let's have a look. Yeah, there's a special. Some people attribute this to Wormwood. Revelations. Yeah, Revelations chapter 8. Let's have a look. A specific chapter. Book of Revelations, chapter 8, 10 to 11, describing a trumpet judgment where a great star. Let's just find the actual quote. Oh, we are Bible Gateway. Hang on. Oh, we are Bible Gateway. If the browser will work, come on. Oh, is it going to work? Is it going to work? That's it. Here we go. Yes. I was currently unavailable. All right. What a horrible heathen I am, eh? That's it. Bible Hub. Yes, I'm an awful. I'm such a terrible kind of like a pseudo-atheist. Yeah, the third angel sounded his trumpet, and a great star burning like a torch fell from heaven and landed on a third of the rivers and on the springs of water. The name of the star is Wormwood. A third of the waters turned bitter like wormwood oil, and many people died from the bitter waters. Well, that is unlikely for several reasons. Firstly, right, it's not Wormwood because this is not going to come anywhere near the Earth unless it changes course, which I hope it will do. Because if it comes towards the Earth, I mean, half the people will go toilet paper stockpiling. I'll just go, yeah, catastrophic disclosure, yeah. As I make this point in the video, Taurus. Yeah. Also, this is not a star. This is not. I mean, it's weird because it is actually doing something that no other object in the universe apart from stars do. And that is it has internal, it actually radiates electromagnetic radiation internally. It doesn't just reflect it. according to Avi Loeb. Probably. We don't know for certain. We may know during the Mars conjunction, which is just 2 weeks away. All right. Thanks for that, Taurus. Crafty Nihilist says on 115. Thought you said euthanasia. Oh, right. This is... Maybe I wasn't... Let's have a look, because this is... You got to just get it like a... Lol. You've already had your youth in Asia. Youth in Asia. I think it was actually... Yeah, I think it was... Actually, this is the joke that that Hugo Rune was making, which I didn't quite get, because he said some stuff which I found a bit disturbing about him feeling kind of like unalivable, which I was worried about. He said afterwards he didn't mean it. But I think he might have made the same joke. Hugo Rune says, I must be the 5th. All right. No medal for you, Hugo. That's on 115. But you do get a mention in dispatches. 115. 56. Colloidal silver. I think I've got some colloidal gold somewhere. Not seen it for ages. Much search. All right. Yeah. Don't overdose whatever you do, though, mate. Definitely. Hugo Rune says on 115. The New Statesman bit. Hot black. What? Hang on. I'm going to have to click these timestamps. The New Statesman. Oh, right. Yeah. It was Rick Mail. Yeah, I get it. It was a joke he made with Michael Troughton. Yeah. Most of my carers are from Zimbabwe. And this says, oh, right, your mum and her GP. Similarity of MS to my conditions. And, of course, you never said that, Ben. I'll keep stum. Thanks very much. But, Hugo, there's no need to worry because he died in 2006. But the GP was very good. Yeah, the GP was very good like that. He basically said, this is strictly off the record, but I would recommend it. And, of course, if he ever did that officially, he'd be struck off, wouldn't he? Illegal drugs, Class A drugs. Yes, indeed. Yeah, Hugo, because my mother had multiple sclerosis, she suffered from all kinds of problems. She had numbness in her limbs, pain, terrible pain, neuralgia, spasms and things like that. And it used to come and go. Some days were worse than others, but she would like knock back. She would like knock back the wacky backy and toke herself to sleep, that kind of thing. 115, the Crafty Nihilist. First to be listening. Oh, right. All right, you're not the first poster, but you said first to be listening at 3:30 a.m. because I can't bloody sleep. All right. Well, so, I mean, I don't know if I do get listeners, certainly in this time zone at that hour of the day, Crafty, but I'm really sorry. I hope that my lilting voice soothes you into the land of oblivion. It's awful when you can't sleep. I usually get insomnia on Thursday night after I've done my radio show because the reason is because I have my mind can't switch off, and I usually finish the podcast around about 12 at night, and then I just can't switch off. Funnily enough, I did actually sleep all right last night because today's Friday, but the night before when I did the live stream, it was a bloody I couldn't drop off. Well, I was doing something on Wednesday. I can't remember. Okay. Oh, we got another long detailed comment on 115 from Jin the Skin Pivot. And he says here, okay, Ben, here we go. Just keep in mind, I watch all your stuff. You're interesting, unconventional, and I admire your passion on subjects which are never dull. And you are unique in these response videos, for which you should be applauded. Thanks very much, Jin. I'm glad you enjoy this. Chemtrail bunkers, quote, why is Peter Thiel buying up all these properties? Why is there strange building works going on there, unquote? That presupposes you don't know. Thiel is saying he's buying property because of looming real estate tax and availability catastrophe. Attaching that to chemtrail bunkers shows vague association and no rational continuity of reasoning. You appear to have an opinion on such bunkers, just no evidence. Well, I don't know, Jin. You see, I think it's kind of supposition because, all right, you have to assume this is going on, and the question is, well, the Illuminati are going to they're going to suffer from this too. Assuming they have a body chemistry which is similar to ours, which I'm not certain of at all. They may need to take shelter somewhere. They need to go somewhere where they're not affected by this. And this is like a thought experiment, a possibility. But you do know you say you've watched all my stuff, so you've watched my Doomsday Bunkers video, which I'm very proud of. Actually, I think it's a really good video. I'd like to do an update actually. And it refers to this fight. Now I can't show you this because of copyright, but Vice did this thing here. Let me just see. Vice documentary, Doomsday, elite Doomsday bunkers. And this is a kind of a coming up. Yeah, it says here, Vice produced the title "Apocalypse Escape Plan for the 1% in 2018. And this, of course, has become quite a popular idea. It's repeated in films like Leave the World Behind, which I also reviewed. I have mixed feelings about that film, but I did a detailed review of it. WTC collapse. Quote, well, according to Dr. Judy Wood, it came down 1 second slower. It certainly didn't fall the way it should have done. That's a quote from me. According to Dr. Judy Wood, it may have been something to do with the Hutchison effect, but she's careful to say, my looking at the characteristics of the Hutchison effect must not be taken as synonymous with my arguing that it is the exact device responsible for the mechanism of the WTC destruction. Yeah, that's right. She's cautious in that sense. The Hutchison effect is pseudoscience with no repeatability. And even if it had some empirical history, there is no logical reasons to assume it is scalable. Hutchison also admitted fakery in some of his key claims and that his technology was stolen. So we see here a primary conspiracy supported, at least to some degree, by other fringe beliefs. Well, I'm not so sure they're fringe. I mean, you should, in fact, Dr. Judy does analyze this, and despite her caution, she has spoken to Hutchison, she's worked with him. Now, the stolen bit comes from something that happened, very strange thing happened in 1983. Hutchison was supervised. It was his own choice. He agreed to it. He agreed to be supervised by another scientist, and this man was Colonel John Alexander of DARPA. Yeah, which is a very, very interesting claim. And then what happened was, after that, criminal charges were laid against him, and he had his entire work stolen. Now, admitted fakery. Where did he admit that? If he did admit it, maybe it could be a conveniently. My CTCS conveniently told confession story. It may be real. I'll need more details. He carries on. How should the WTC have come down, Ben? Or does the woo-woo stuff always displace the NIST investigation report of qualified engineers and architects a priori? Is it just because it looks like or could be agenda, which can only exist where the exotic weapon is alleged to be purposely hidden? Well, funnily enough, I've just been watching a video exactly about that. Where is it? Let me just have a look. A very interesting video. I'll go to screen share now. There's no soundbite answer to this, unfortunately. It's Math Easy Solutions. A guy, he's called Matthew, but he calls himself Math Easy Solution because he's a mathematician. And he did a live stream. There's lots about the Hutchison effect here. See, this is stuff about the Hutchison effect. There's lots of stuff about mathematics, which I'm not interested in kind of like detailed ways, because he is essentially a maths teacher. That's his job. And here it is, MES livestream 108, turning the tide on 9/11 disinformation agents. Now that sounds very backslapper like, but it's actually it's more to do with, it's like a panel of all these people.
Regular people are quietly paying off their mortgage early with coins you've never heard of. I'm talking about a single mom who's a cashier.
How to slash your energy bills overnight with this simple heating
solution. I shouldn't complain because I'm glad
this plug-in heater is being called.
Unlike YouTube, I'm actually glad that Odyssey has a funding model. Is this guy Matthew? And he's reading. You can read Arabic, and there's this stuff he's talking about thermite here. And it's this one here. Now, this goes into it in detail. I do recommend that video, actually. And you should find it very, very interesting, I hope. And he says here, the towers came down just like, this is Jen now talking, just like the 17th floor Palasco building in Tehran in 2017. No, it didn't. We've already been through that. And the 24th floor Witten, De Pais and Almeida State building, Sao Paulo, Brazil did in 2018. Progressive collapse after fires. Except these collapses weren't aided by structural damage caused by large high-speed projectiles and thousands of gallons of jet fuel. Well, they were aided by fires, but I think I might have seen it. The Wilton Pace Alameda building. Let's just have a look, because there may be some photos or video of that. Let's just have a look, and I'll share again. Here we go. Let's have a look and see what it says here, because I know the Tehran building doesn't fit We know that because if this is the Wilton paste, let's have a look. Right, here we go. Here's some rubble, wreckage. Here we go. Right, how tall was the building originally? You see, because that's the kind of size of the rubble pile that was at the World Trade Center. See, you can see it kind of scale here. That's about the height of the rubble pile at the World Trade Center. Now, if this particular building is of a similar height to World Trade Center 1 and 2, then you may have proved your point. Let's have a look. Of similar height and similar constructive. You see, that's quite tall. Let's have a look. Right, so it says its structures columns were steel reinforced concrete. That's similar, yeah. Cantilever floor, slabs of red concrete, aluminium frame curtain, glass curtain wall. So that's very similar to the World Trade Center in terms of its design. It had 24 floors, right, as opposed to 110. That's interesting. So I suppose you've got to ask why the rubble pile is roughly the same height as that for WTC. That's an important point. But is there any video of it coming down? Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Okay.
Os bombeiros acho que vai ser.
No, I can't. Unfortunately, it's right. Okay. It's too. You can't actually see clearly what happens because it's a dark nighttime shot in terms of the type of its collapse. However, there's the rubble pile again. Okay, so that's a bit inconclusive there, I'd say, Jin. Okay, that's it. That's it. Okay, right. Hugo Rune says, well, thanks for the comment, Jin. Again, very interesting stuff. Hugo Rune 115, climate change, bollocks. It is natural cycle. Well, I quite agree. Oh, hang on, that's the wrong. I've got to get back the thing on my clipboard. Because I've just sent Hugo a message that says the name of that building that just collapsed in Brazil. Right, so edit. And I'll just change it. Climate change bollocks is a natural cycle. Well, I agree, Hugo. I agree. 115. Did you? Right. Red Snapper. Did your mum smoke cannabis for her multiple sclerosis? Yes. As I was talking about with Hugo, she did. Very much so. Okay, we've got a timestamp. You've got Red Snapper here on 115 and a timestamp. What's it saying? She was captured by the what became the SS and was tortured and murdered. And they okay, disagree, Ben. Rosa, okay, this is Rosa Luxemburg, had taken over the Bavarian government. They already knew what would happen when these people came in from the 1917 revolution. Not a fan of extrajudicial killings, but I think in this case I have some sympathies. All right, well, whether this sort of thing is justified or not is a moral question that can be discussed. I don't know the history of all. I had to research this actually for the Obscurati Chronicles, this serial I'm actually writing, and one of the characters actually visits the spot where she died. This is just after World War I, and to this day, people leave like mementos and things like that for her. So I don't know enough to comment on the historical facts. I'll have to learn more about that because I didn't learn that much about it. Whether it's justified, is it justified to take a life to prevent like a Soviet-style socialism taking over Germany? When you consider, again, it's the doctrine of double effects. If like a Soviet-type government, a Bolshevik-allied government had taken over Germany, it would probably have spread to other parts of Europe. And well, we all know what happened in Russia when Lenin took power, and even more so when Stalin took power later. So you could say, well, maybe it's justified. Maybe to prevent that, you could do it. You could kill someone to do it. I don't know. That's a tough one. A dilemma there. Red Snapper, would you ever return to the spiritualist church now that the C word thing is over? No, I don't think I would, Red. This is on 115 as well, because I can't forget. It's kind of changed my viewpoint of them, if you know what I mean. My opinion of them generally has now changed. it makes me think that, you know, they're not. I went there looking for like kindred spirits who were very alternative, and I found people really who were very, very mainstream. I understand their concern about infection because a lot of the people who go there are very old. It's spiritualism in this country, in Britain, is essentially it's a working class movement. Essentially, most of its proponents are working class. They tend to be on the old side. I went there, you know, when I went there, I was very often the youngest person in the room. And I understand that that was concern because these people are vulnerable to the disease, yeah. But does it justify them imposing like specific government, like later to be government enforced lockdown rules with the ulterior motive of control of society? No, it doesn't. Good question. 115, we have a timestamp here from Red. Remember the Stonecutter song? Who controls the British crown? Who? Oh yeah. Who held back the electric car? We do. We do. We do. Ironically, electric cars are an absolute fraud. So I'm glad they held it back. Of course, yeah. I mean, cars with like lithium-ion batteries, yeah, which are recharged from standard forms of energy generation involving coal-fired power stations, wind turbines, and solar, and you know, and what's it called, hydroelectric power, which I've talked about in other videos, including one in this cycle. It is a fraud, yeah, and not only that, but electric cars are very dangerous because if the battery catches fire, it tends to burn very, very badly. This could be a connection here to MH370, and certainly there's other, as I say in my MH370 videos, there's been other incidents on aircraft where the batteries have caught fire in the cargo hold, and it's just basically incinerated the entire airframe. Yeah. Red Snapper, how does Hugo meet dealers, seeing as he has this disability? Well, that's for him to answer, Hugo. That's for him to answer, Red. And he may not want to tell you openly because, you know, he's already been in trouble with the law over this. Here we go. Right, this is a timestamp. Titanic was in 97. Okay, was it? Oh. See, I mean, she made her big name with Titanic, didn't she? That was her kind of like big. I think it was about 92. Was it 91? Oh yeah, 1997. That's right. Okay, so it was a few years later. Yeah, that was Kate Winslet's kind of big break. We were talking about Kate Winslet because we were talking about that film Holy Smoke. Right, Red Snapper is a timestamp on 115. How are we doing for time here? Maybe even without that specific context. Even without that specific context, it's still covered by fair use. Not least because it itself was free distribution. Oh, right, yeah, this was his creative work. This is to do with Skeptic of the North and his copyright strike against me. Also, because you had contact with him. The email exchange is a contract you agreed to be able to publish the whole thing. You should have challenged that with YouTube. It probably wouldn't have worked, Red, because the comment was deleted, and he could always deny that he'd said that. That's the problem. You know, of course, I read it out. The comment still exists in the form of the comments reply video where I read it out, but he could say I made it up. It wasn't worth it, Red, not least because if they think you're doing something fraudulent, they'll then terminate your channel anyway. And I mean, I didn't mention actually in the video concerning this, but copyright strikes only last for 90 days, which means this one is already halfway through. And after 90 days, it'll just be withdrawn. And so long as I don't get 2 more in the next month and a half, I will keep my channel. By the way, I hope that doesn't give the trolls ideas. But it wasn't worth doing, Red. It wasn't worth doing. Right, so Hugo Runes says on 115, Exxon 238 or something only occurs in nuclear explosions on Earth. Natural process, the Big Bang. All right, it's Xenon 23. What's it? Let me just find out exactly what it is. It's Xenon. Let me just find out. Here we go. Xenon. Xenon Mars soil 129. Yeah. Xenon 129 has been detected in the Martian atmosphere and soil. Yeah. High abundant Xenon 129 compared to Earth. While the exact origin is debated, 129 Xe levels on Mars have led to theories of past nuclear events on the planet. Now, this is true because this is a specific signature of nuclear fission. I mean, which could And why that is, good question. But there could be a natural process, as Hugo says, or is there a natural process? Maybe it's left over from the Big Bang. That's a good question. We are dealing with an alien planet, after all, literally. the first one we've landed on, officially. And, of course, we are going to find things that don't make any sense. This is why I'm open to the idea, despite not Hugo. I almost confused the two of you. Steve Mumbling, I mustn't get you two mixed up. Steve Mumbling sort of gloating about, I'm going to say told you so when 3i Atlas turns out to be a natural object. All right, well, I'm open to the idea it might be a natural object, as is Avi Loeb. If so, it could be that it's very strange properties, that is, unusual chemical composition, radiating light, things like that, could be part of a natural process that we don't know about yet because it's from a different star system. In which case, we can expand our knowledge of the natural processes of the universe. But yeah, I mean, it could turn out to be aliens, though. But the same with Mars. There's a parallel here with Mars. It could be there were no nuclear explosions on Mars. If so, then they must have. I mean, could they really have happened billions of years ago, and we still see them now? Because if there was a nuclear war on Mars, it must have happened a long time ago. We're talking billions of years. Billions, not millions, billions. Does this particular element this isotope have a half-life that long? Right, 115, red snapper. There we go. It's a timestamp. Oh, bloody hell. Government alert. All right, this is interesting. Government emergency alert test, 7th of September. Oh, yeah, that's that bloody phone thing. How apt, not ironic, the emergency came through when doing the video. Many will think you set that up. I didn't. I swear I didn't. I didn't. Red snap here on 115 again, 3:39, and we have a timestamp. Portering. It was one of my jobs. And you just go, the guy, they actually employ someone now to go and round up all the trolleys in the neighbouring streets. Yeah, trolley collecting, another job you have done. Steve Mumbling will no doubt jump on that. Yes, he will. He'll say, it'll be, next time he criticises me, we have an shopping trolley collector who thinks he knows more than astrophysicists. Yeah. But I mean, there's no dishonor, there's no shame in this. Well, that line from Fiddler on the Roof. There's no dishonor in this, but there's no particular honor either. No. But yeah, I mean, I'm not ashamed of anything I've done. I mean, I'm very proud to be an ex-hospital porter, and this is another job I did. I did it well. I did it as well as I could. And the fact that it's not, high conventional status doesn't mean it's not an excuse not to do it well, I think. Although I know a lot of people who disagree with that, including some porters, which is very distressing. Right now we have another timestamp on 115 from Red Snapper. Alan McBride, oh my goodness me. Hello again, Alan. I haven't seen you for a while. I smell phonies. Skeptics, my backside. We are the skeptics. They are. All right, yeah. Fascinating point. Shall we call ourselves skeptics from now on? I think not. You can call yourself that if you like, Red. You can call yourself whatever you like. I won't use that word to describe myself simply because it causes confusion. It causes confusion over the definition of the word skeptic. Now, in my skeptic video, well, I've got several skeptic videos, which I'm sure you've watched. You will see that I actually do address this, the definition of what a skeptic is. I thought about using several different spellings, like skeptic with a ski, skeptic with a K, but and other people say, well, don't call them skeptics, call them debunkers or denialists or something like that. I'm going to continuously call them skeptics out of convenience because of the popular sense of its meaning, and call myself something different. But go into those videos, explain it in more detail, that whole point. Red Snapper says here, good reply to comments. This is on 115. Good reply to comments. Enjoy the Dorset Earth Mysteries group. Thank you very much, Red. And indeed, there's a video of that now. That's just appeared since then. Paul Will says on 115. How are you doing, Paul? How are you? Completely agree with you, Ben, as regard the awful medical situation back in 2020 regarding football fans. Absolutely disgusting. Thanks for another great reply to comments. You're welcome, Paul. Yeah, it was you know, telling football fans they couldn't go and they couldn't enter their club's ground unless they'd had the you know what was, I would consider that for a die-hard football fan, that's a form of torture. And the idea that that is anything that in any way counts as consent is bollocks, absolute bullshit. It's insulting and it's abusive, and it's 100% known on Article 3 of the Article 1 of the Nuremberg Code. They'd throw it right out. Right, Gary Robinson says on 115. Ben, mate, I heard that a public warning siren is going to be tested in Hemel Hempstead this evening, just a few minutes from now. I find that very sinister considering everything that's going on in the world right now. I'm guessing it's connected to the phone alerts. Oh, whether there was like a siren going off or something, I don't know, mate. A warning siren. I know that there was a phone alert. I mean, I didn't get it because I actually changed the settings on my phone to switch them off. Now, I wasn't sure it would work. I mean, the first time this happened, I didn't just switch the phone off. I drained the battery to make sure that it couldn't work, because you can't take the battery out, can you, these days? As Edward Snowden advised us to do, don't just switch your phone off, take out the battery. Well, now you can't take the battery out. You just have to drain the power from it, which is not good for it. It's not good for it, actually. But this time I managed to, it didn't work. I switched off the emergency alerts and it worked this time. Whether you can do the same on your phone will depend. Mine's a kind of, I think mine's like an Android. I don't know what sort it is. Hugo Rune says on 115, good vid, Ben. Got me away from Deal or No Deal on YouTube for a while. Oh, my goodness me. Are you telling me I seriously upstaged Noel Edmonds? Wow, that's compliment indeed. Ginskin Pivot says, all right, new video, Sanford Hydro. And guess what? Ginskin Pivot gets another gold. He gets in there first again. Gin, you're beating Red Snapper here, mate. You really are. My goodness me. John Searl. Is this his name, John Searl, who claimed free energy and levitating discs, sometimes referred to as super frisbees, which his own son would later reveal were hung on wires for evidence photos? Right. Right. Let me pause here for a moment. It's interesting. His own son would later reveal. Use the word reveal. And you often do this. Now, if you go to I advise you to go to my skeptic video if you haven't watched it and look up how you get this. You get this all the time. It's been revealed, it's been exposed as a hoax. You get phrases like it's been after a lot of controversy, it's been exposed, it's been revealed as a hoax. You get that phrase all the time. Now, when you look into it, what that actually means is someone has claimed it's a hoax. Now, when someone says, remember my conveniently told confession story, a confession is a claim too, as is a debunking. And in fact, in the last video I did, the last live stream I did on the hearing in the US Congress, I made this point. You know, it's when people say it's been debunked, what they mean is someone has claimed it's not real. But this is a claim just like any other. When his son said he saw he had the photos were explained because it was hung on wires, he didn't reveal it. He claimed that. He made an accusation against his own father. Now, there are many reasons why a son might do that to his father. So from what I gather, Searle was kind of a little bit, he seemed like a rather eccentric character. He was almost completely deaf. He had like only 30% hearing in one ear. And he was reported to be a difficult man. I met him once and I found him a little bit overbearing because he just wouldn't shut up. He was one of these. He was like the person at Miles's place, like he would just talk. And maybe he had a falling out with his father and decided to lie about him. It's a claim, John. Jen. It's a claim, and you should treat it as a claim like you treat any other. As I say in my skeptic video, you know, we have a confession, case closed. That's it. It's over. No, it's not. Conveniently told confession story. The same John Searle would later claim he couldn't show these discs because they flew off into space. He did, yeah, which is a bit. I didn't get that bit at all. The same John Searle admitted after charge that he stole electricity and committed criminal damage to his own meter, a transformer in the distribution hub, and the main supply pylon. Electricity thief risked blackout to the south. The Times, November the 26th, 1982. All right, well, that's, yeah, he did go to jail, but. All right, so we have now. Let's just look this up, because if it's true, then yeah, I mean you've got a case to. There's a case to answer. John Searle. flying discs, flying saucer. Now, one thing I should point out is that, right, there's something I should point out is that I myself found some of his claims rather dubious. For example, when the Warminster thing happened, and as you know, if you listen to her HPANWO radio, you'll know I've just been to the Warminster 60th anniversary conference. He claimed that he was behind the Warminster thing. He said that it was his discs that were doing it, which is not true. Now, I do recommend there's a video. It's just watch this video here. It's very, very interesting. This might give you some more ideas. The John Searl story, right? It's this video here. Right, this is very interesting because this was, I think it was co-directed or produced by a friend of mine, a guy called David Griffin. And he sometimes pops up in chat, even to this day. You sometimes see him in the chat box. But it's called the John Searl story, and I do recommend watching that. All right. But, I mean, as for there's no Wikipedia reference here to him. There's all kinds of things here. There's all kinds of news, sort of archive news stories about him. It could be all right. It could be all right, in which case I'll admit it. I'll admit it if you're all right. Seriously, Ben, why is it we only get the woo-woo, heavily edited summaries of these characters? This is lying by omission, which clearly indicates a very iffy shenanigans going on a little furthermore. A little further than mere bias. All right, well, I'll tell you, I've got another reference for you here. You might find this bit all right. That John Searl story, it's a little bit of a hagiography. Okay, so it's very pro John Searl. Let me find you another reference, and it is that kind of like backslapper of backslappers, alien scientists on YouTube. It's Jeremy Riss. Jeremy Riss. Here we go. Now, there's a video he did. Where is it now? It's in one of these. This is Jeremy. Now, this guy...
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it.
Why is Danny Jones the first one that comes up? Danny Jones clips. All right. I know what I'm going to have to do. I mean, because he was on Danny Jones. That's why. I'll have to actually go to YouTube.
In those press conferences, the interview, he's standing next to his department, head of the Department of Commerce, which a lot of people are like, who's this guy? I've never seen this.
Danny. That's not Danny. That's Jeremy. Okay, here we go. Right, here we go. Right. Okay. Alien scientist. You've got to go the long way around with some things. Here we go. This guy. All right. Now, you want something that's a little bit less biased, all right? A little bit less biased than the John Searl story. Where is it here? It's one of these videos down here. Let's see if I can find it. The Searl effect and EVOs. I don't know if it's that one. I'm afraid you're going to have to use the search function. I don't have time to look all these things up. But he's recently done like a debate about John Searl. And Jeremy's a massive he's not quite a skeptic, but he's a massive backslapper. So hopefully you'll find that a little bit more balanced and less biased. Paul Willis says on Sanford Paul Wills says on Sanford Hydro, OMD, electricity E. Is that orchestral maneuvers in the dark? Great band from the 80s. Third says Red Snapper. He gets his bronze this time. You're slacking, mate. You keep being beaten to the post by Ginskin Pivot. Come on, you're not going to let a skepper get the better of you, are you? Come on, fly the woo-woo flag with another gold. And we have we now have a thread, or it's just a two people's thread here. It's Bombolina says on Sanford Hydro. This is an unusual video because I actually made it while I was away from home on my laptop, which proves I can do it if I need to. Yeah. Bombolina says, I've been following yourself for decades. I think that's an incorrect use of a reflexive pronoun. All right, I'm not gonna get on the old grammar police right now. Don't worry. But I'm just an avid listener and lurker. Well, thanks very much, Bombolina. I have seen you comment, and I appreciate that. But I would like to say how impressed and admire how you keep producing excellent articles and videos. Thanks. A lot of my family listen to all your recordings and adventures with great anticipation, as you are an inspiration for us all with your positive and bright attitude to life. Oh, thank you. Thanks to all your family. I appreciate that. I hope to make the journey to one of the conferences soon, where I hope to introduce myself and buy you a well-deserved drink or two. Oh, it'd be great to meet you. Lapis in November, I'm going to that. If there were a trophy for outstanding contribution to ufology, I would definitely give it to yourself. Oh, thanks. Please keep the brilliant stuff going, as there is a lot of us here that care a lot. Thank you. Blessings to you. Regard, Richard. P.S. I use my wife's YouTube, so that's why it says Bumbelina. I'm not a girl. Oh, I see. Right. Okay. Thank you. Well, thank you very much, Richard. And if it's your whole family who watch it, then I presume your wife does as well, Bumbelina. Right. You're not a girl. Okay. Well, but I really, really appreciate it. That's a lovely, lovely comment. Thank you so much. And, you know, it makes it all worthwhile when people say things like that. But, you know, I think perhaps you could appreciate it if you would specify when that it's you and not your wife talking, because I don't want to misgender you, you know. And Rhiannon says, what a lovely message. That's Rhiannon Raven. I completely agree with all of it, and it's nice to see others appreciating all the dedication Ben puts into his work. You truly are a unique and lovely light in the world, Ben. Some may misunderstand you, but that's their loss. Never change, Ben. Thank you, Rhiannon. Thank you so much. Rhiannon Raven's a good friend of mine. I've met her many times. Yeah, I have. Sanford Hydro, Paul Wills. Ben, the huge dam built in China. They had to remove all of the villages and wipe it all out. Farmland and wipe out all farmland just to make way for it. They did indeed, yeah. It's a massive human rights abuse scandal in a country which, let's face it, has one of the worst human rights records in the world, which is sad because it has by far the largest population of any nation on earth. But they do this thing a lot in China. They have done rights going all the way back to the imperial age. Yeah. So we're talking about the Three Gorges Dam, which is the largest. It's a massive, by far the largest hydroelectric project on Earth, which basically has devastated the environment in a beautiful natural wilderness, and then it led to the extension of the Chinese river dolphin, which is very sad. Paul Wells says, Ben, do you know that these installations, hydroelectric plants, attract UFOs? Maybe these beings use these installations to power their craft. I think there was a case in the States where all the power went out across a city, and it was because one of these crafts was spotted over one of these facilities. Just a thought. Oh, really? Now, I know they're often seen at nuclear power stations. Indeed, they seem, for some reason, to be very attracted to nuclear power, and indeed nuclear weapons especially. But hydroelectric plants? I didn't know that. Or whether they use them to power the craft, I expect they have something a bit more sophisticated than water turbines, Paul, if they're going to travel from Zeta Reticuli or parallel universes. But, you know, you never know. There may be another reason why they're interested in these things. It may have something to do with orgone energy or something like that. You know, which as we know, is orgone energy is connected very much to water. Yeah, along with like the Schauberger effect and things like that. Tor Engen, about the 13th. Oh, well, unlucky for some, but not for you, mate. There's some words that it is accidentally, quote unquote, major work plans on the train lines into London. Oh, sorry, right, I see what you mean. No, not the 13th poster. You mean the 13th of September. Yes, Tor, I actually heard about that there was going to be some specifically rather large amount of engineering works, which were going to cause disruptions to travel on the 13th of September in the London area. Now, I wonder why that was. Well, I've made an alt-tech video about that, haven't I? It didn't work anyway. I mean, there was well over 1 million people there easily. It wasn't quite as big. I'd say it wasn't quite as big as the 2017 Brexit protest, but it was getting on that way. Stanford Hydro, nothing as it seems. How are you doing, nothing? I'm not interested. I'm not intending to be argumentative. Yes, you are. Outside now. But hydro isn't the only form of energy which is gravity powered. Look at what the renewable energy nutters have come up with. The world's first utility scale gravity energy storage system. It uses a tall concrete structure and a crane to stack and lower massive 35-ton composite blocks. When electricity is available from solar or wind, the crane lifts the blocks to store energy as gravitational potential energy. When the power is needed, the blocks are lowered, turning the crane's motor into generators to produce electricity. By the way, tidal power can also be considered a form of gravity-derived energy generation, albeit indirectly by harnessing energy from the gravitational pull of the moon and sun and of Earth's oceans. Yes, That's interesting. I didn't know about that. About the gravity energy generation system. That's interesting. Let's just look it up. Gravity energy storage. Here we go. Gravity energy storage. Let's have a look. I want to show you because this is very interesting. Because that would make sense. In a sense, it's kind of a battery. It's like a battery. Here we are. Gravity batteries store and release energy by lifting and lowering massives, typically concrete blocks, to convert electrical energy into gravitational potential energy. Yeah. That's very good. Yes, I see what you mean. So basically, it uses the spare power from the grid when, like, solar, wind, or any other form is working, and it uses the spare power to lift a giant weight up a tower. And so when that power drops, you can actually drop the weight. So there's potential energy in that weight, and it drops, and it uses that power to turn a dynamo. Yeah, and yeah, that's very interesting. Right. And also, tidal power is a form of gravity-derived energy generation. It is a form of hydroelectric power because it uses water. But in this case, the water flow, as you say, has a different source. It's actually harnessing energy from the gravitational pull of the moon and sun on Earth's oceans. Yeah. So in other words, it is a more direct form of gravity power, isn't it? Because it is powered by gravity, using the water as a medium, because it's gravity that causes the tides to shift. Yeah, interesting comment. Thank you very much, Nothing As It Seems. How am I doing for time? I don't want to go over. Oh, 56 minutes. I'm almost on the first hour, nearly gone. I think it's going to be quite a long one because it's been slightly over 2 weeks since I last did a video. Stanford Hydro, Dopegar. That's a good name. Dopegar. Sounds like somebody who get on well with Hugo Rune. Stanford Hydro. Ah, so this is your phone. I wonder why the quality was better. You should use it more than your camera. Oh, well, thanks for the advice. But the thing is, the phone does have some benefits, like 4K resolution and things like that. It has this nice lens here. It has downsides as well. For example, I can't reduce the file size specifically without reducing the quality, which would eliminate the benefit. I find it harder to edit and things like that. I find you don't get the same Steadicam effect you do with the Sony. So, and it's also not as it's more difficult to handle than the Sony. So I'll generally use the Sony whenever I can. I didn't bring it with me. That's the only reason, because I wasn't expecting to make a video. But yeah, but I do use it. As you may have noticed from my Oxford graffiti videos, because I kind of make those as and when. So I just tend to make them when there's opportunistically. I shoot various scenes opportunistically rather than planning most of the time. Stanford Hydro, Ian Gosling, no relation to Tony, I hope. Wonderful little adventure, Ben. I'm considering getting one of those magazines. I'm becoming a bit better than becoming a bit woke. My poor child, infinitely better. Yes, please do read Nexus and 40 Times. Honestly, that's all you need. I swear, that's all you need to get the information you need in this world. You really do. All right, but thanks very much, Tony. I'm glad you enjoyed that. Gary Robinson says on Stanford Hydro, Ben, mate, are those people camping under the bridge at the start of the video? Camping. Let's just see if I can find it. Hang on a sec. Camping under the video. Camping on one. You mean the Megtow Bridge? It's called that because it was a major feature of my video. Am I a Megtow? Was there people camping under the bridge? Let's have a look.
And this is it from this.
The riverbank all the way, almost as far as bloody Teddington, is impassable.
Well, here's the Megtow Bridge.
Today.
Pages of these two publications. These are the only two periodicals you need. Forget all the others.
I don't see anyone camping. There's some boats. A lot of people do live on boats in Oxford, but no, I don't see it myself. Gary, I don't. But so yeah, I mean, I've never seen people do camp. There's a lot of rough sleepers in the area of the ISIS bank, but some of them actually are. Some of the boat people you could actually describe as rough sleepers. They're sleeping on these. They're living in these hulks that are barely afloat. Others are quite nice. They have electricity and running water and stuff. But yeah, it could be that they were. Oh, there are actually people just upstream from there. There's a kind of camp just upstream, surrounded by a couple of the really grotty boats. Paul Will says on Stanford Hydro, Ben, thanks for this, mate. You're welcome, Paul. I want you to know it's always appreciated when you can get a video out. Unlike your other subscribers, are always on the lookout for new content from you. Cheers, mate. You're welcome, Paul. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoy it. I mustn't get you mixed up with Steve Wills because he's somebody else. But you're Paul Wills. I know you're somebody different. Yeah. And Sanford Hydro. Lovely intro music to this video, so relaxing and calming. Thanks very much, Paul Wills. It's Chris Zabriskie again. I tend to use his stuff. He seems to have a tune for every mood. That particular tune is one I use for things related to the environment and energy, environmental issues, stuff like that. Sanford Hydro. Oh, not funny. 1840. What's this? Oh, what's happening here? Okay, let's have a look.
Beware. Strong currents. Yes. As opposed to strong black breeze or strong good breeze. No.
Oh, I see. Right, not funny. Oh, well, as the late, great Frankie Howard used to say, Red Snapper, please yourself. And now we got a long gin skin pivot here on Sanford Hydro. Right. Oh, I thought you might have something to say about this. Suppression of free energy. A quote from me, and this conspiracy needs to come to an end. It needs to stop. Unquote. But there's only you and the woo-woos pushing it, Ben. You're just making this stuff up as you go. See other posts. Tesla was a genius, but he didn't discover free energy. He had a theoretical model for free distribution, which wasn't commercially viable. In effect, he was using the induction principle through which a fluorescent tube activates its phosphor coating to overload power lines. The capability is just too small to be viable. I don't think so, because in 1898, Jen, he did an experiment which involved an antenna, which was actually designed to capture atmospheric electricity. Right. This was actually copied by Ayn Rand in Atlas Shrugged. I don't know if you've ever read that massive book. And the effect was so strong, it actually caused a blackout in the local area because he did put it on the grid. So I think it was a bit more than that. I think the capability wasn't too small. And you also got to ask yourself, you say it's not commercially viable. It certainly wasn't after JP Morgan screwed him over. Why did he go to so much trouble? I mean, have you ever seen the film Tesla? There's this really good film it was Ethan Hawke who plays the eponymous character, and I did a review of it, I think. So I think there's a bit more to it than that. Free energy is impossible, and if it were doable, even on a smaller scale, the first logical outcomes of its demonstrable viability at that scale would be perpetual motion. Any over-unity system making a net gain in energy, the Wetterhouse would make perpetual motion at least possible, if not practical. Oh, God. Don't tell me you're going to say Nobel Prize on the way, blah, 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 most famous person in the world, etc., etc. I hope you're not going to say that. Firstly, it's not impossible. Energy can be generated in which there is an over-unity economically. As now, in terms of like the actual, in a sense, energy from nothing, yeah, but you see, where does it come from? It could come from the zero-point field. There's the Casimir effect. Believe it or not, Ashton Forbes is a good source for this sort of thing. I know he's a controversial figure, but he's a good source for this. The thing is, if it can be demonstrably viable, but then the thing is, what would happen if this was demonstrably viable at the scale where you would get perpetual motion? And indeed, there are systems which even some of them are sort of crude mechanical devices, which I think are a little bit more interesting than the usual kind of frauds and follies. And I don't have time to go into that in detail right now, but I have covered it on other videos. I'm sorry to keep giving you oblique references, but I mean, there's so much I could say about it which I don't have time to. Just except to say that this what you say does have a rebuttal, and there is sources on my channel. Zero-point research aligns with Newtonian and physics principles and is further confirmed by Einstein. It is entirely feasible in a quantum system, but it is agreed that while it is a measurable quantity, it can only be as a result of fluctuations in a unified system. To harness such a low potential is impossible, however, because it would require a low energy state to be available, which contradicts the definition of zero-point energy as the absolute energy minimum. Well, the thing is, like you say, it's a result of fluctuations in a unified system. That essentially is what the Casimir force is, I believe. I think it's caused by pressure generated simply by the presence of particles and potential particles. I don't remember the details. Ashton explains it. Now, the question is, how much energy is actually there? And is there a method of extracting it? Because if there is, it would mean, if it's not, it would mean like people like Victor Schauberger, who actually, you see, it's not just from this classic kind of 0-point field thing. Even systems such as flowing water in certain states can produce an over unity effect. And I know you reject the Hutchison effect and things like that, but that's another example. There's many others I could talk about. And there's the fact that this was researched quite openly until a very specific point. Many people estimate sometime in 1957 when it went black budget. And there's so much information out there on that. So I do think there is actually a method. There was a method of extracting more energy from various systems, which could be described as over unity. Not necessarily from the 0-point field, but these are properties of matter of certain kinds. We know that matter has unusual properties, nuclear fission and fusion, which was sort of unknown until like the industrial process began. Maybe there's something else, like that. Anyway, he carries on. All this free energy bollocks goes nowhere fast, Ben, because the science, capital S, it seeks to exploit for net gain only works on your terms, namely, where your types ignore the science, capitals, and transpose it, proven constraints to control governments. Well, I don't think that's unreasonable, Jin. I think that is a valid point I'm making here. Because you get it all the time. Well, the science says otherwise, and if the science said this, then that would be the end of it. Because science is this pure, it's this kind of pure mental state that can draw perfect circles in any political landscape, regardless of what happens outside it. And that's simply not true. It's a way of seeing the world, but it exists in a world where there are other forces at work, and some of them are malevolent and corrupt. And let's face it, there are scientists who have been seduced by fame and fortune in many various ways. Piltdown Man. I mean, there's all kinds of scientific hoaxes that have happened, not from woo-woos, from academics, and people are accusing Avi Loeb of that now. It's just so. Which I think is unfair. But anyway, you got to take these factors into account, I think. Good comment, anyway. As always, interesting comment. Red Snapper says, is Gentry Lee just a fraud that piggybacks off Arthur C. Clarke? I think fraud is too... there's Cradle. I was going to pick it up, actually. It's at my dad's house. I was going to pick it up the other day. I didn't have to go and get it another time. I was going to reread the intro. Honestly, man, I don't often, as I said, I don't often cry reading a book, but this is the first time I cried reading a book since Charlotte's Web. Is he a fraud that piggybacks off Arthur C. Clarke? He's not a fraud, no, but he's a very, very mediocre and substandard writer who is basically, he's written a book in which a much more talented and experienced and brilliant individual, although he's a nonce, which I won't forgive him for, just puts in little interludes here and there. Sanford Hydro, here we go. Okay, so it's just a timestamp here.
Creatures that are described as trolls emerge. I think they're designed to be a metaphor for the human race.
The trolls succeeded where Trump failed. Yeah, I should have clarified. I don't mean trolls in the kind of internet belligerent sense, and I think I've gone way over. 8 minutes past. I'm gonna have to edit some of the last few comments. Anyway, guys, that's the end of not only hour, but hour and 8 minutes number 1. Back shortly. Okay, we're back. Hour number 2 coming up. Oh, I'll have to make this about 50 minutes to keep everything kind of in sync. All right, we've got QED Conference 2024. Well, this was one of these unusual ones. I kept it a secret. I didn't tell you where I was going. I said, I'm going to a conference. I'm not going to tell you what it is. You'll be very surprised. Everyone thought it was going to be some SMS orgy or something. Sorry, what's it? And it was like, oh my God, everyone was thinking that, but no, it wasn't. Anyway, QED Conference 2024. Zimmies says here, I'm fine with the fact that simpletons can create content. Just a shame it was so long with no content. I am not content after watching this. Ha 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 ha. I am bereft of ribs, Jimmy's. Well, obviously you can't be that discontent, can you? Because you watched the whole thing from beginning to end. And I'm no doubt you're gonna make the same criticism of all my other videos after you've gone through my entire catalogue and dedicated hours and hours and hours to watching me. So don't forget to subscribe and share. Sanford Hydro, Red Snapper. Was Eugene Franklin Malov murdered for his cold fusion knowledge? Question mark. He was actually murdered at his childhood home in a landlord-tenant dispute. Not sure about falling off a moving train. Maybe it wasn't Malov then? Who was it? Yeah, was it? I mean, was it Malov? Maybe it was another one who fell off a train, and it was one of the free energy inventors. Now, of course, he had a landlord-tenant dispute and was murdered in his home. Okay. With every single one of these people that dies, quote unquote, there's always some kind of mundane explanation. Stanley Mayer, he just had food poisoning. Brewster Palmer, well, it was a mugging. They just forgot to empty his pockets before they ran off into the night. And it's always the way. It always happens that way. Okay, but it just seems statistically weird. It's like the Clinton body count. It's like the fact that in Germany, there's this Alternative for Germany party, which is kind of like it's actually not that. It's not all that alternative. It's just pretty much like something that Nigel Farage would invent if he were German. Oh my God. That's a horrible thought. A German Nigel Farage is actually a pretty horrible thought. But they've been dropping like flies. They have, and it's always like, oh, they had a heart attack or stroke, or they tripped on the stairs and fell. It's always something like that. You don't expect this, right? If they wanted to do away with a large number of people, they're not going to say, right, well, that guy was shot by a sniper, and this guy came up to him. This guy in sunglasses came up to him with a knife, or there's this weird guy hanging around, with sunglasses and a violin case. They're not going to say things like that. They're always going to come up with some kind of excuse. It is circumstantial evidence. It's statistical, but I think it's significant. Sanford Hydro and Red Snapper again. Seems an awful lot of effort for just 500 plus homes. Yeah, I think it's more kind of demonstrational, and it's more political rather than practical. In other words, it's done for the purposes of saying, look, we're using hydroelectric power. It's kind of environmental virtue signaling, basically. I think that's the purpose behind it. All right, Sanford Hydro. 11. Why? Oh, right. This is the fish trap thing. Yeah.
100 years. So the fish have been trapped. It supports species salmon.
Yeah, no, I don't know. You see, says, why have the fish been trapped in one area for over 400 years? I don't know, Red. And in fact, maybe there are some. Could they actually survive if they were just trapped in one part of the river for that long, in terms of multi-generations for 4 centuries? I don't know. I'll have to look into exactly how do fish get around the place. How do they move from one part of the river to the other when there are things like locks and weirs and hydroelectric plants in the way? Maybe they just take their chances. And some of them make it and some of them don't. I don't know. I honestly don't know. But these fish passes are actually new ideas of making it easier for them. Okay, so Red Snapper, Sanford Hydro. Some hydroelectric dams do help ibex goats. Have you seen the amazing videos? Yes, I have. There are these really amazing things in Switzerland where there's these really, really steep, and there's the ibexes climbing them. And ibex is as Red Snapper says, it's a creature from the goat family, which is it's become kind of the symbol of Switzerland. It's the kind of the national animal. And indeed, that bloody base hard tunnel opening ceremony, they had people dressed as ibexes. So they had an ibex, people wearing this ibex costume, and you get it everywhere now. But the thing about ibex, like all goats, it's very. It's. I think the reason that they chose the ibex is because it's like all members of the goat family. It's very, very. What's the word? Perseverant. Is that the word? Determined. I mean, they can literally. They're so good. They're so sure-footed. They've evolved in the mountains, and they can climb almost sheer cliffs. They're incredible things. Yeah, I mean, you can have a look at the. There are videos and pictures of them climbing things. Yeah. Here we are. Ibex climbing. Here we go. Let's have a look at the Ibex climbing thing. Incredible Ibex defies gravity and climbs a tower. This is the one you mean, I think. Yeah. Look at him, man. Wow. This is like, yeah, it's literally like a. Here's an Ibex, and look what it's doing. Amazing. And up he goes. They're just so. Look at them. Their feet are specifically, their trotters are specifically evolved to climb up really steep cliffs. I mean, I couldn't. I got a pair of bloody hands, and I couldn't climb that. That's incredible. Look at him running. Yeah, that's a really. It's the Gotthard base tunnel, isn't it? The Gotthard base tunnel. I describe it in this. If you want to find out more, I actually cover it. I've got a new portal, by the way. It's a good opportunity to show you my new portal. Leave the carry-on jokes aside for once, all right? Let me show you my new portal, man. Here it is. It's CERN. The CERN portal. There we go. Everything you want to know about CERN, but we're afraid to ask. And as you can see here, there's the Swiss tunnel opening ceremony. And this is it. You see, this is in the picture. You can see a man dressed as an ibex. There's somebody dressed as an ibex as a costume there. You see, there we are. Amazing creatures, amazing. Yeah, I mean the symbol. I mean, this is what people in astrology. People who are Capricorns, which is the goat. It's a symbol of the goat. They one of the features of being a Capricorn is determination, perseverance. Capricorns are very strong people. They will, once they get an idea in their head, they pursue it, like a goat climbing a cliff. Red Snapper, this is on Sanford Hydro. Do you consider yourself an iconoclast, Ben? I suppose I am. Yeah. I mean, for those of you who don't know, an iconoclast is someone who trashes or disparages or criticizes somebody who's generally held in very high esteem, very high regard. Some people will be iconoclast just for the sake of it, like Christopher Hitchens. Christopher Hitchens made a video about Mother Teresa, criticizing her, and quite right. I mean, on a factual level, he was absolutely right to do so. However, the purpose of him making this video was not really to criticize Mother Teresa. It was to be controversial, to generate controversy. There was kind of an industry for him. He loved being controversial and getting into arguments with people. His brother Peter's very similar, actually. I must admit, I think this is why Peter Hitchens actually said you got to vote Tory, even though I told you not to previously. He just wanted arguments with people. But yeah, that's an iconoclast, and I suppose I am in a way. I suppose I am. Being a conspiracy theorist inevitably makes you an iconoclast for the mainstream, because I say that Queen Elizabeth II was a lizard. A lot of these other people that you might think a lot of are actually not as good as you think they are. So being a conspiracy theorist inevitably makes you an iconoclast. But I'm not a backslapper. A backslapper will say the same things about people within the alternative sphere, and will focus on them primarily rather than the rest of the conspiracy sphere focuses on. So I'm an iconoclast in the conspiratorial theoretical sense, but not the backslapper sense, if that makes any sense. Right. 20, Sanford Hydro, gravity-powered engine. That's a timestamp here. I've probably guessed what it is. I'll just play it anyway.
And as it flows through the turbines, it turns the turbines, that produces torque, which spins a
gravity-powered energy. Sounds like something Steve Mumbling would mock as crazy. Yeah, he would, Steve. I mean, Steve, don't tell me. Are you going to say that hydroelectric power is a steaming pile? It's piffle. It's absolute rubbish. Come on, Steve. You're not going to say that. But technically speaking, this, of course, he knows, and he'll make this point, that when I say gravity-powered energy or gravity-sourced energy, right, that's not generally what we woo-woos mean when we say that. But technically speaking, it is gravity-powered. You see, the gravity is the source of the energy. Yeah. Right, Red Snapper talks to you about cradle. It's a 1988 science fiction novel by Arthur C. Clarke and Gentry Lee. The premise of the novel is the contact between a few humans from the Miami area in 1994 and the super robots of a damaged spaceship submerged off the Florida coast. Telecommunication advances such as video telephones and highly efficient underwater scanning equipment used in the story bridge from everyday real life aspects of the setting towards the near future, bespeaking technological progress. Yeah, I mean, as a near future scenario, it was actually not bad. Well, it wasn't very far in the near future. It was only 8 years, but 7 years, sorry. But it was still something quite interesting, wasn't it? It was interesting. It was interesting. They did have things like, which were sort of coming in the 90s, yeah, like just early internet, like video phones and things like that. But yeah, I mean, I've got to try and get hold of the book because it's such. I mean, I've got the urge to read it again now. I've been talking about it. Or at least read the bits that Clarke wrote. I won't read the bits that Lee wrote, because Lee basically wrote near like 95% of it. Okay, now we have I now have a community post which I put up, which was if you remember my community post, which was. All right. For those of you who wonder whether I'll be making a video about the latest UFO hearing, I'm not going to, but I have reviewed it on HPANWO Voice, and I provide a link. I might make a video about it in a week or two if we get more information about it. Please follow HPANWO Voice for information you might not see on HPANWO TV. Of course, as you know, since then I did make a video about it. But Wayne Model Builder says, "Oh, come on, Ben. Some of us only follow you on this platform. But hey, I guess you have your reasons." All right, Wayne. Well, yeah. I mean, if you just follow me on YouTube, then you are going to miss out. You are going to miss out on some of the things I publish. But there's a very simple reason why I don't put everything onto YouTube. Well, partly it's because some of the videos aren't appropriate. But even outside the video area, I just don't have time to make videos about everything I publish. I have to sometimes make little short. Some short written works. So I mean, I do recommend you do follow me on other platforms as well, because then you'll get access to everything. You don't have to read everything I write, but you'll just be there as an option if you want it. So yeah, I do recommend that. Now, Philip says here, Sanford Hydro, good to see you in Ferndown speaking. Am I speaking in Ferndown? Is that Essex? Is that the Essex people? Is that the Essex people? Hang on. Let me have a look. Because I am booked to speak in somewhere, a town in England. Dorset. Oh, right. No, right. The Dorset Earth Mysteries Group. Yeah. Was that Ferndown? I thought it was somewhere else. I thought it was Stape Hill. So, Philip, I mean, I was in Dorset anyway doing my talk, so I do hope you enjoyed that. But thanks very much. Okay. And we have Sanford Hydro, because I did make a video about this, and Sanford, and we have Gin Skin Pivot, who says here, you covering the latest House Oversight Committee hearings, the session with the orb beings hit with a hellfire. It's actually quite riveting. All right. CBS News Channel, key moments in the UFO House transparency hearings. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, Jin. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Now, as I just said, I did write an article about it at the time. And indeed, since then, I actually did a video. This is 8 days ago, Jen posted this. I actually did do a live stream video, which is the one I did before this video I'm doing now. So thank you. Hi, Sanford Hydro, Red Snapper. I'd not heard of a fishway before. Very interesting. I did not even think fish needed to use all of the river. Right, I hadn't heard of it either, Red. That was a new one on me too. I didn't know they'd put that in. But then I found out, of course, some fish can't just stay in one part of the river. They have to go up and down, upstream and downstream in order to breed. Some of them go out to sea and then they come back to breed. They come and they actually swim all the way up to the top of sometimes to the very, very highest levels of the stream. You may have seen salmon jumping. Salmon are very good in particular. They can almost jump up a waterfall. You might have seen them doing that. This is why possibly some of them get through locks and weirs and things like that, because a weir essentially is an artificial waterfall. So salmon can probably jump over that. But yeah, the fishway actually it helps fish which otherwise wouldn't be able to live in that river live in the river, which is cool. Right, and I put up another community notice, which was I've uploaded a new TikTok video, and indeed we'll go to that TikTok video in a minute. We will go to it, and I will talk to you about it. I'll just go back to that. And Red Snapper says, I'm not on TikTok, he says here as a comment. I said, and I put in a text reply, which was, you don't have to be. You don't have to have an account to watch it. You will play in your browser. Indeed, it will. In fact, I always play TikTok in my browser. I haven't downloaded the app. And now we have Dorset Earth Mysteries 4, 3-Eye Atlas, and SETI. And we have a thread here. Red Snapper. Oh, it's the usual thing. Red Snapper says first. He finally got a gold again. Hugo, got my glasses on. I can see invisibility. Oh, sorry, invincible. I misread. I thought you said invisible. Red Snapper says invincible, not invisible. Hugo, damn my bloody typos. Thank you. I'm laughing at myself again. Red Snapper, aren't I funny, Hugo? You've got me laughing constantly. Big smile on face. Thanks very much, guys. Thanks very much for the banter. Much appreciated. And now we have Paul Wills on Dorset Earth Mysteries Group. Ben, your talks have improved a lot. You should be talking at the Glastonbury Symposium. Get on to Andy Thomas. Right, Paul. Well, you know, I know Andy. In fact, I've just done an interview with him and Neil Ward. So, I think I've mentioned at some point, you know, I'm happy to do a talk for them at some point. I mean, maybe I should mention again. I was a backup speaker for AV. What was it? One of the Alternative View conferences. I'd love to talk at one of these big conferences. I really, really would, like Glasgow. I would. I'd love to speak at Contact in the Desert. I'd love to speak at Awakening. I'd love to speak at all of these events. Yeah. Oh, Neil. Oh, well, guess what's here? Neil Peel says. Well, anyway, thanks, Paul. Thank you very much, and I'm glad you enjoyed that, and I'm glad you respect what I do. And Neil Peel himself says underneath, yes, I agree. I've spoken at the Glastonbury Symposium a few years back. Biggest gig I've ever spoken to. Ben would go down well there. Still no cocaine or prostitutes though. Ben. Oh dear, I won't bother then. No, Neil, thank you very much. And you know, I will. Maybe I'll just drop a few hints to Andy and the other he's one of the organisers. Yeah. And Paul says, Neil you're his agent. You should be able to get him a gig. Neil is not technically my agent, although he does actually function that way as far as the Dorset group goes. You know, several other events, he essentially has sort of done. He has been that. He literally has done that. So yeah, I owe him a lot. Actually, I'm very, very grateful to Neil. I owe him a lot. And Neil says to Paul, he already knows Andy Thomas. In fact, we spoke to Andy in a podcast recently. Go for it, Ben. Yeah, I will. I'll contact him myself. Yeah, I don't need you to do that, Neil. But thanks. You do a lot of sort of the work that an agent does. Yeah. And Paul says, completely agree with you, Neil. He should. Thank you very much, guys. And we have here Dorset Mysteries. Hi, Ben. Nice one, says Hugo, and @ Red Snapper. Red Snapper says, I'm invincible. Like that guy in James Bond, the one who was in Eyes Wide Shut, just before he gets frozen with low temperature gas. Yeah. Dorset again, 77762 says, great lecture, Ben, and a special mention to Neil and Neil's wife in looking out for you during your visit. Yeah. Neil and Monica, I mentioned them in the credits, and I'm very, very grateful to the help they gave me. Neil, like I said, basically sorted this out for me. He dealt with everyone. He did act as an agent, and I haven't paid him. So I'm very, very grateful. And Monica, of course, his missus, his good lady, who has a lovely house, and they gave me a place to stay, which is fantastic. So yeah, great. I love both those guys. They're great. Dorset again. Hugo quotes me, in cosmic terms, that's scraping the paint off. Haha, love that, Ben. New to me. Well, yeah, I mean, in terms of what's going to happen, as I said, I will cover this, Neil. Oh, sorry, I will cover this, Hugo, nearer the time. But it's now just 2 weeks until the Mars conjunction. And I think that's going to be really something. I'll be covering it. I'll be doing at least one live stream or video about this. And 69 Phuket says, missed it, Hugo. Going to listen to it in bed now. Hugo, Fundy. And there's something else here. But yeah, Phuket, I hope you enjoy it, mate. I hope you enjoy it. It's not a live stream anyway, so you can watch it at your leisure. Hugo says, my carer left about half an hour ago. I normally play music when we're around. I don't remember you saying yes. But I was watching this and told her I wish to continue while she does her ministrations. And she was watching this with me. All right. You on the stage part. She was very interested. I think she will check you out. Best thing is she's from Zimbabwe. All right. Hugo, thank you very much. Well, I mean, I don't know. I do know a few people from Zimbabwe. And there was a nurse called Heather, I remember, who was from Zimbabwe. And of course, all the witnesses to the, I know all the witnesses to the Rua UFO incident. Of course, I don't know them personally, but I know of them and I know who they are. So there's some good people from Zimbabwe. And, well, you know, Hugo, I really appreciate you getting me a new viewer. I really do. I hope she enjoys it. So, Mrs. Kara from Zimbabwe, Hugo's a caregiver. Welcome to the channel. I hope you enjoy it if you're watching. And Neil says, go for it, Ben. Thank you, Neil. Okay, now we have a thread. Neil Peel, Dorset. Glad you enjoyed your Dorset visit, Ben. I'm sure the viewers will find it of interest too. Oh, thanks, Neil. Thank you very much. Gary says, sorry I didn't make it, guys. Glad it all went well. Thanks, Gary. I'm sorry you couldn't get there. Yeah, Gary was hoping to get there and he couldn't, so that was cool. And Gary also says, Howard's End, the theme tune that told you that your weekend was officially over. I've never seen Howard's End. I'm thinking of Howard's Way. Now, Howard's Way is actually really good. What's good about it is it's kind of a soap opera, or at least not quite a soap opera because it has like seasons. But it's one that's actually quite positive. It's quite unlike most modern dramas on TV. This one actually is quite it has a positive theme. It's about people who are actually quite admirable, and they are human. They have flaws. They get things wrong. They make mistakes and things like that. But generally, they're good people. They are kind. They're strong. You know, they are ambitious, and they're intelligent people, and they form like bonds with others. This is very, very different to the characters in modern drama on TV. So yeah, Howard's Way. But the Howard's Way theme tune, I don't know if can I play it and get away with it copyright wise? I don't know. Let's have a look. But it's really good. I mean, they're all, the last time I checked, these were all on YouTube. Da, da, da. Here he is. Yeah, this is the theme tune. I'll play it.
With Bet365's Bet Builder,
not this.
If any of your players get subbed off, your bet rolls on with sub on, play on. But that's not all. They're incredible early.
Shut up! Get on with it. Get out of the way.
Download the app and see where it's never ordinary at Bet365.
Oh, there's a Howard's Way channel. Da, da, da. So these people, these tailors. So it's like an entire the opening sequence to Howard's Way. Yeah. To a certain generation, this is a comment here. This music meant just one thing: Monday morning and school tomorrow. Yeah, it was. I think it was on a. And Gary actually makes a similar point here. The weekend was officially over. Yeah, it did. It was Sunday evenings, wasn't it? Yeah, for those of you who are lucky enough to be old enough to remember it. Yeah, I want to actually watch it because if it's on. Last time I checked, it was all on YouTube, and maybe it still is. So please do check it. It's a bloody good series. Oh yeah, see Howard's Way episode 1, part 1, part 2, Howard's Way series 1, Howard's Way series 2. Yeah. Howard's Way series 2. It was really, really good. As I said, it left you feeling happy rather than miserable and downbeaten and humiliated like modern drama does. Yeah, thanks for the nostalgia, guys. And Gary and Neil says, I think Ben has a few new fans at Dorset Earth Mysteries now. I hope so. I hope so. Thanks, Neil. Never watched it, says Neil. I saw bits of Triangle, but that's because I had the teen hits for Kate O'Mara. Oh, I did. I thought she was quite hot as well. Is that on YouTube? Triangle. Because she's this woman, she's not like conventionally sort of like pretty. She had a weird nose. She had a weird shaped nose, but she was bloody hot, I'll tell you. Triangle, TV series. It was set aboard a cross-channel ferry. That's it. Oh, it is. Look, yeah, see? Whoa, we're going back in time now. Oh, that was when she was sunbathing naked, I remember, yeah. You don't actually see anything, you just see her. There she is.
I'll go and find out. You do.
That's her. That's her.
This is a private area here, you know. This is the cruise deck, officers and crew only. complicated as stand.
Tends to be foreign. Ooh.
It's okay for me to lie here.
All right. Oh, see, that was her. Yes, she was very nice. She was very, very attractive. I remember that. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, yeah, moving on. Oh, I'd love to dwell on this, but and then this is Roger. Oh, right. Here we are. Where are we now? Good to see you there. And Warminster, you recorded me, lol. Oh, were you there? And Neil says, is this Roger? Gary says, wow, Kate O'Mara, I'm with you on that one. Yeah. And then Neil says, my Friday night watching Katie's Triangle. Seriously enough, I was doing open platform mediumship a couple of years ago, and I was reading for this woman, and I was being given this, like the title sequence of the Triangle program. And I said to the recipient, it's rather like that program with Kate O'Mara in. The lady responded by saying she knew Kate O'Mara. So I wondered if Kate was trying to get a message through to me. It could be. I don't know how long ago she died. She did die a while ago, but yeah. She was a great actress, really, and beautiful woman. Yeah. Oh, Over the Moon. All right, Dorset. Here we go. I plan to attend the I can't actually say that on YouTube. I plan to attend the K event on the 13th, but then my corporate overlords dangled an irresistible offer in front of me, a hefty sum of money, 2 nights in a luxurious 5-star hotel with all expenses covered, a private driver to chauffeur me around, if I agreed to work the weekend. Torn by my conscience, I wrestled with the decision briefly, but ultimately caved into the allure of cold, hard cash, gourmet lobster dinners, and cruising in a sleek Tesla Model X. I can already hear the judgment. Go ahead and roll your eyes, but let's be real. Who among you would have turned down that deal? Over the Moon. Obviously, I'm not gonna pass judgment on you. All right. I hope I would have made a different decision to the one you did, but I honestly don't know. I'm not going to lord it over you and say, oh, blah, blah, pussy, so easily corrupted, you bloody coward, or something like that. I'm not going to say that, all right? Because I don't, what would I do in that situation? I hope I would actually feel I would feel ashamed if I was in your position. That's not to say you should, but I would. But I don't know if I may have done that, yes. Dorset, Hugo Rune. I'm now thinking back in my life for the coincidences. Yeah, there's so many of them, aren't there, Hugo? There's so many. How am I doing for time? Okay. There are so many, aren't there? I seem to be bad at judging the length of these videos, because I think this is actually, I'm only halfway through the second hour, and I think I'll be finished before the end of it. I seem to be bad at judging the length. Anyway, Paul Wills said on Dorset, so glad you did the right thing and took the train. Ben, so glad you took the right thing. Hopefully one day, mate, we'll be traveling in something more exotic, the sport model. Well, fingers crossed, mate. When Free Energy is declassified, I'm going to get one of them. I think I've got to get one of those. I'll get Bob Lazar to give me driving instructions. But yeah, I did take the train. The coach would have been, as it was, I had to spend much more money. I could have booked it in advance and then saved some money, but I didn't. So I was no way. The guy came up at the event and he gave me a fee, and I said thank you very much. I was no way going to contest it, because I could have booked the train earlier in advance and saved some money. I didn't, but the coach is just so inconvenient. It really is. Right, and 69 Food gets us on Dorset Howard's Way. The Bint had a Renault V5 GTA classic car. And which Bint? There are about 6 or 7 of them in that series. No, but I mean the people are lovely. I mean the men are kind of, well, there's Ken Masters, who's a bit of a blackguard. He's the kind of main bad guy, but even he's done very, very well. But the men in it, like Tom Howard and Leo Howard, they're really good guys. They're guys I could be friends with. And the women are beautiful. They're all they're not just, they're good looking, most of them, but even the ones who are not good looking are really, really nice and really likable. And I could find them attractive, even though they're not good looking. These kinds of women, and as I said, so different from modern drama. So different. Okay, Dorset, Paul Wills says, I think your next talk should be about the bloodlines of the global elite. That would be an interesting one. Well, thanks, Paul. I mean, I'll see what I can do. But, I kind of feel it wouldn't be very original if I did that. I like to do something that's kind of like that other people haven't done before. But I'll see what I can do. Gary Robinson says on Dorset, I've looked out of my window Thursday around 11 p.m. and saw something odd. It was much lower than the planes from Luton that fly over my house, but higher than a helicopter, and it moved far too slowly to be either. It had a single white light that dimmed over 10 seconds, revealing a jagged-shaped structure behind it. When the light went out, the object disappeared, and there was no blinking nav lights like on a plane. It's also worth noting that it was not following that flight path that the planes from Luton follow. I'm not saying it was from another planet, but it was strange. So in other words, I'm not saying it was aliens, but it was aliens. I'm kidding, Gary. Gary, I'll talk to you privately about this because that's very interesting. Right, Dorset, Paul says, I'm really looking forward to this one, Ben. Thanks very much, Paul. I'm glad. I hope you enjoy it. Well, I think you've seen it and you will. A good video, Ben, says Hugo. Thank you. More comment later. Hey, nice one, Hugo, my friend. Nice one. Paul Wills. Ben, the questions that you got from the end of the audience were really interesting. They were indeed, and I'm really, really pleased they were captured. And thanks to Neil Peel for capturing those. I mean, Neil does so much for me, he really does. Yeah, I feel guilty that I don't pay him. Hugo. And the nature walk, wonderful local pond and things, reminded me of my youth, pre-teens, living in a Lincolnshire village. Thanks, Ben. You're welcome. That was a beautiful area where the dragonflies were. They really were. Yeah. Right, Red Snapper says, no male reviewers. Does that indicate a feminist narrative? And Red Snapper then adds to his own article, yeah, you go on to say that. Yes, this is referring to the Boudica moment I had because of that Boudica themed book I told you.
There are no male reviewers of this. It's all women.
I don't need to show you the video. It's basically that book, the new book that's about Boudica that's come out. And I've not read it, but I've got a bad feeling about it. That's all, and I'll explain more in detail. Right, and Red Snapper now has a timestamp here. 155.50, 156.55.
Actual DeLorean time machine car from Back to the Future.
Yeah. Wow, weird, Neil. That has to be precognitive thoughts. Back to the Future. Oh, remember that. Remember those things. Yeah. Oh, more about Howard's Way now on Dorset. Howard's Way was a television drama produced by BBC Birmingham and transmitted on the BBC between the 1st of September 1985 and the 25th of November 1990. The series deals with the personal and professional lives of the wealthy yachting and business communities in the fictional town of Tarrant on the south coast of England and was filmed on the River Hamble and the Solent. It was, yeah. That's it, basically. Yeah, it was that. And he carries on here. The series was notable for its pioneering camera work on board yachts, often filming multiple yachts racing in choppy waters and high winds, and its extensive location shooting, mainly on the south coast of Britain. Most of the location filming for the series was carried out in the Burlesdon, Hamble, Swanage, Warsash, Hill, Leon, Solent, Lymington, Hythe, Southampton and Fareham, all in Hampshire. The Jolly Sailor pub in Burlesdon featured in several episodes. Yeah, they tended to do that. I mean, they had indoor studio scenes, but they did an awful lot outdoors as well. Inspired by the storyline in Howard's Way, Gerald Glaister went on to create Trainer, 1991 to 1992, set in the world of horse racing, and also featured several of the same cast members. Did you watch that, Ben? Trainer? No, I didn't. I haven't watched that, but I've watched Howard's Way. I absolutely loved it. I might watch it again on YouTube. Dorset. Lol, the fakery had me fooled for a moment. All right, what's this? There's a timestamp here, 1822.
My goodness, look what they're selling there.
But if you look at the characters...
Oh, yeah. You see, it looks like... It's actually a picture, but it looks like something inside the shop. Yeah. It does look odd, doesn't it? Yeah, it does look very odd. Red Snapper says, "Oh, hospital porters against racism." This is actually a you probably guessed this. It's actually an Old Tech exclusive notice. First, says Red Snapper. Well done, you're back on form. Right, 157.10. Incredible story, sailor shaving kit. Oh right, yeah. This was the synchronistic thing that I talked about.
Yeah, that's very strange.
Yeah.
I mean, that book contains some really extreme examples. For example, the man he was a soldier in the First World War.
Yeah, he found his shaving brush on the opposite side of the Atlantic a few years later. I tell the full story in the video. But yeah, I mean, if you think of the odds against that, how unlikely that is. It's extraordinary. Extraordinary that happened, yeah. And it's not just the fact that he found a shaving brush, the fact that it went all that way. It happened to wash up on the beach in New York, just where he happened to be at that moment, and it was his own shaving brush. Yeah. Okay, it's Dorset, and there's a timestamp here again from Red Snapper. Chloe. Oh,
he's gone a bit blonde.
Oh, it's like, let me just go back a bit, yeah.
He's gone slightly blonde. Hello, Neil.
All right, yeah, this is me creeping up on Neil. Yeah.
Right. He's here.
Yeah, he didn't see me coming. Yep, he didn't see me coming there, did he, Red? Yeah. All right. Now Steve Mumbling says here, and I actually replied with a text comment, but it was actually a link. 3i at its closest. This is on Dorset. At its closest, 3i Atlas will get 30 million kilometers from Mars and 53.6 million kilometers from Jupiter. You think this is close, do you, Ben? Lol. Well, in terms of the scale of the solar system, that's very close, Steve. It's very close. Nickel being detected in the light spectrum from 3i Atlas rules it out as being an alien spacecraft. Nickel is a heavy metal. An alien spacecraft wouldn't be made of any kind of metal. It would have to be as low mass as possible. It would be made of super low mass, super exotic synthetic materials we can't even imagine. Of course, I'll be saying, told you so in a couple of months. Ah, yes. Now, Neil, I didn't... Oh, sorry, Steve. I mustn't get... Neil? Steve? Mumbling? I mustn't get those two mixed up. Steve Mumbling, I didn't know you were an expert on alien engineering. And also, it's interesting you speculate and you use your imagination in ways that if a woo-woo did that, you would be very, very angry. Now, you say this last bit, I'll be in a couple of months, I'll be saying, told you so. Will you? Will you? Let's have a look, shall we? Because I actually replied. I replied with a link. And it's this one. And I knew I would. I actually prepared this in advance. Okay, guys, so we've got 29 people watching. But anyway, that's it, everyone. I'll do an update as soon as there is one. It could turn out that in 3 months' time, we'll know it'll turn out it was just a comet. It'll say, well, it was just a comet, Ben, all right? And all the skeptics and backslappers are going to come to me. And they're going to crowd around me, gloating about it. Ben, you said it was definitely an alien spaceship. And it turned out to be a comet. Yahoo sucks to you. Nah. It turned out to be a comet. And you're really disappointed now, aren't you? You know, I'll just go, no. I said it might be a comet. And I said it in a few months' time. If it turns out to be another interstellar comet, I'll just say it was an interstellar comet. Yes, I will be disappointed, but not very. And besides, whether I'm disappointed or not is irrelevant to the fact that what is. Reality is reality. And we have to face up to it. And so don't expect me to cry into my cornflakes live on air on the October the 29th when it comes to perihelion, and it's obviously got a massive tail on it and it's acting just like any other comet. All right. So if you're putting a note in your diary expecting some massive Schadenfreude trip at that moment, I'm going to disappoint you guys. I will. There you are. Night, Walt. All right, guys, thank you very much for watching HPANWO TV.
There you are.
So there'll be another video as soon as possible. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity. There you go, Steve. There's your answer. Professor Unwindmost. Oh, yes, UFO Congressional Hearing 2025 live stream. And it is the one and only Professor Unwindmost. Oh, yes, he was very active in the live chat. And it's really great to see him back. And I'll tell you what, I should tell you this, right? Now, I hesitate whether to do this because it might kind of dox him a little bit, but I actually contacted him because he and I have an old friend. And it's, here we go. Now I must thank my friend Heidi actually for telling me about this. But our old friend has a new musical career, and here he is. You'll guess who I'm talking about, won't you? You will guess who I'm talking about. This is When Is the Future by VNV Nation. Now, I'm going to put it on mute because otherwise they'll copyright strike me to death. But I'll show you the video. Now, please do I hope you will watch the actual, listen to the song because it's a really, really good song. Look at the Illuminati.
Add AJ Bell.
You'll see the Illuminati pyramid in a minute. It's almost like they know this guy. And There's the Illuminati pyramid. But you see, it's not. He actually happens to look like it. It's an Irish. It's a sort of Irish kind of techno band. Here we go. There we go. I'll just forward wind it a bit. There we are. There he is. There's our old friend. He's got a new musical career. There he is. He's on his way to. He's on his way to do somebody with his mind powers. I think he's on his way to sort out some hamburger with legs. There he is. It's a really, really good show. By the way, I won't play it anymore, but please do check out that. It's a great song. It's a really, really good song, actually. I really do like that song. So again, thanks to my friend Heidi for telling me about that. And thanks, of course, to Professor Unwinnie Most, who shares the amusement of that particular person. Yes. Yes, first common trail. Oh, I've returned it with a vengeful bag loader. Yes. And Phuket says, proper nutter. And Unwinnie Most says, Replacey is a huge wasty tie load, dear. Sours the face bowl just like wean it on a pickle. Right. I don't actually understand all his Unwinnies, but he always speaks in Unwinnies. This is the constructed dialect created by Stanley Unwin, the comedian, just because it sounds funny. Oh, and here we have Professor Unwinnie Most again on an old one. This is a very old video, the Lighthouse Watch Party review. I remember I enjoy doing this. Brrr, the thermolopper plummetty and importy most to avoid burstage of water pipe loaders, all floodage and soggy most of the soft furnishy there, folly. Pipely laggage only takes Fido minutes, usually specialised in slushy or old and redundant clothage. Okay, I think, let me try and translate that. The thermometer plummets and important to avoid burstage of water pipes, all floody and soggy on the soft furnishings. Silly. Pipe lagging takes only 5 minutes using specialized insulation or old and redundant clothes. Hey, I can understand Unwinnies. How about that? Professor Unmimo says, oh, welcome to HPANWO TV. This, I think, was my 3rd or 4th video. Been injecting the toxic buttocks in your face bowl, Ben. You look younger. All the spacey tie load. All right. I haven't been injecting anything into my toxic buttocks of my face bowl. All right. The reason I look younger in that video is because I was about 18 years. I was about 18 or 19 years younger there. When was it? 2007 or 2008 I made that video. Yeah. Not sure. All right. Professor Onimo said on a more recent video, it is video ban 2013. Copy my rosy red bocus. Oh, no. Copyright my rosy red bocus. All digital music from Mozart and Beethoven to Ladle Gaga and Chemical Brothers is available for public distribute in MP3 format. It can be downloaded from the internet and synchronized for usage of manifold type, from Tiny Most USB stickles and the microscopy iPod Shuffit to mobile phones, laptoppers, and iPaddles. Yeah. All right. Yeah. I mean, it's I think what he's saying is there's no copyright issue here. There's all sorts of music and digital. Mozart, Beethoven's Lady Gaga and the Chemical Brothers on public distribution. They can be downloaded, etc., etc. Yeah. So, well, obviously this guy, Skeptic of the North, he desperately wanted all his material removed. And I have double checked, and he removed his interview also. Well, he didn't, but obviously I checked. He did interviews with other people, specifically Mick West and Brent Lee, and I checked their channels, and it's gone from there. So obviously they complied with him. I don't know if he threatened them the way he threatened me. Honestly, if he hadn't issued threats to me, I might have been a bit more civil. I might have actually even gone along with him. And he'd been polite and respectful, I might have gone along with him. But I'm glad I stood up to him. And as I said, it's a 90-day copyright strike, which means it's halfway through already, so I'm not that bothered. Right, congressional live stream, 69 Phuket. T is, at best, a catalyst for reset, at worst, driller killer. T is at best. Do you mean D as in disclosure? What do you mean by T? Jim Skim Pivot says on Dorset, good talk, Ben. You'd have floored them if you'd shown them the Orb Hellfire attack. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Gin Skin Pivot. I'm sure I would have done. It hadn't come out by then. It actually was launched. It launched at the hearing. Although you may have seen that in my live stream, it's actually there's been some serious question marks raised over it by Chris Leto. And actually, it was actually not the Orb Hellfire attack. According to him, the other one, that is Chief Wiggins' video from his ship, the USS Jackson, is actually far more interesting. It's much less spectacular, but it's actually, evidentially, it's much more valuable. Dorset says, Gary Robinson says, Contact is such a great movie. I really hope it gets a 4K restoration. Actually, I better Google that because there might be one already. Oh, Contact with Jodie Foster. Really, really good. Yeah, really, really good. Dorset. Spaceman says, great again, Ben. R.I.P. Dr. Jeffrey Meldrum. Yeah. Jeffrey Meldrum was a Bigfoot researcher and he passed away quite suddenly. Very, very sorry to hear that. Paul Wills said, another enjoyable talk, Ben. Thanks, mate. As always, very much appreciated. Great reportage. You're very welcome. How am I doing for time? Oh, I may just get onto the third hour with this. You're welcome, Paul Wills. Glad you enjoyed that. All right, now we come on to hospital pause against racism. Now, I had this person called Marie McCulloch, Marie McLaughlin homeopath, who said, creepy infiltrator, now with an angry face. Now, as soon as I saw that, I actually put on a text reply, a rather ironic. I put a wink emoji and I said, why don't you just watch the Ultech video? Now, this is a common problem. It's a recurring problem I've got with my channel. Whenever I do an Ultech exclusive, I always add a kind of like ironic notice on YouTube just to explain it's there. But there's a lot of sort of ironic humor and sarcasm in it. But I can absolutely guarantee every one of these notices, and they're permanent, they're not like the live stream notices. I don't delete them once the live stream's on. I keep them there permanently. But you can absolutely guarantee someone will watch it and take it literally. Someone will watch it and not realize that this is actually a satire. And it seems that Marie is one of these people. She's watched this and thinks I'm talking literally. And I didn't think my obliqueness and hinting was particularly subtle, but obviously for Marie it is much too subtle. And so I just said, why don't you just watch the Ultech video? I'm not going to sit here and explain things. I'm not going to explain this to people. She can just watch the Ultech video. Now, this is interesting. I then had a reply from someone called Pamela Lee Richards. This is really interesting. This is on an old video, David Icke Live 2014. Pamela Lee Richards, and I thought I know that name, and it didn't take me long to remember her. And she says here, hi, Ben, if you're still around, I would love to speak with you. I am David's former wife. Yes, this is actually a lady who was married to David Icke. And she appears in that brilliant documentary done by that guy from Northern Ireland. David Icke, was he right? Honestly, man, if you've not seen this, please do see it, because it's so bad. All that crap that the BBC and Channel 4 are coming out with, all that bollocks, all that disrespectful crap. These are the lies they told him about it. They told. Here we go. Can you see that? Yeah, you can. Good. Okay, here we go. Right, where are we? David Icke, was he right? Hopefully it's still on YouTube. Yeah, here it is. Full documentary. David Icke, was he right? There's several versions of it. And it's it's directed, and I
intend to. Thank you. Why am I here? To try and get 1 or 2 answers.
Yes.
Hey, where you come from?
Sheffield.
It was done by this really good filmmaker from Northern Ireland who really treated David respectfully. I'll
see you later.
There I am. There's me. See me? There's me on the left with a Freedom T-shirt on. It's not very good quality recording this, but there's old me.
What Brixton to show to people is that if you are saying there's something not right in the world,
here we go.
The way it's going. Brixton Academy.
That's me.
Not knowing what the interest would be hearing. I decided months ago, just intuitively, instinctively, that I wanted to talk in London.
There's me again.
And we booked the Brixton Academy, not knowing what the interest would be. And the response was just incredible. The way it's going to be a sellout audience of in excess of 2,000
sell out. We weren't sell out at all. So that's an old joke.
People.
This is so good, man. This is such a good.
Nice to meet you. Where you come from? Sheffield. Crap, people come from all over the place.
Pamela's actually in this as well.
I'll see you later.
Yeah.
What I want Brixton to show
That's Pamela. She's there.
Is that if you are saying
that's her, that's Pamela.
Somebody ought to wake everyone up, and I think this is where David Icke is coming in. I think he's doing a fantastic job, and I mean that sincerely.
Thank you so much.
I intend to. Thank you.
And you see me again in a minute. You see me
there's nothing that beats the
honestly, the camera loves
interaction
me.
between
people. That's what's her name? David's first wife. Sorry, I can't think of your name now. And I've actually spoken to her. I've actually met her and spoken to her. I can't think of her name. It'll come back to me in a minute.
People who are on the same wavelength.
They're good. They're still good friends.
When we came here, what, 2 years ago?
Yeah, it's last.
Go. And I thought.
Oh, it doesn't matter anyway. That's the person we're talking about here, and she wrote to me, and I said here as a text reply, "Hi Pamela, I remember you. We never met, but I've listened to a couple of your interviews. Yes, sure, my email." And I give her my email address, and indeed I've written. She hasn't. Well, I haven't checked my email. She might have written to me, but I'll go and check my email because I'd like to talk to her. Yeah, this video is. I'm really proud of this video. David Icke Live 2014. Bloody hell, all those years ago, 11 years back. And it's still a really good reportage of David's talk at the Brixton Academy. No, it's not the Brixton Academy. It's the Wembley Arena. And Tino Magaro did a lot of the camera work for that. So thanks to Tino. All right, Hugo Roon says here on what's this? We've got a thread here on hospital porters against racism. Hugo says second by seconds, and Red Snapper says ha ha. Spliff on? Asks Red, and Hugo says, I am pissing myself. Of course I have a spliff on. Well, 30 in my tin. I'm usually stoned. I'll get you through half an hour. But I'd imagine you in a Monty Python sketch. Take that, you bounder. Biff. Look away, Martha. Scud. Look out behind you. I won't fall for that old... sorry, I'm having a Cleese moment. That's all right. How am I doing for time? Oh, near 52. We might get this done just before the end of the hour. But anyway, right, Dorset again played. PJ Davenport says there's a white Davenport horse. Is there? Whereabouts? And now we have hospital ports against racism and blimey, we got proselytizing. We got him back. He's back. Proselytizing Orthodox Penty. All right. What happened to Trans Rabbit? Going to march organised by racist far-right thug claims not to be a far-right racist, lol. The Mr. Romy Tomlinson, shall we call him, on YouTube, he describes himself as a freedom fighter, a counter-jihadist, etc. Is it fair to call him a racist? I personally don't think it's fair to call him a racist. Besides, the word racist is so overused and misused that it's kind of lost its meaning. It's kind of like a nonsense word now. It's like saying jabberwocky, flippity-gibbet, patang-patang, biscuit barrel, etc. It's like that. Claims not to be a far-right racist. That's interesting. So I claim I'm not. Are you saying he doesn't? He claims that, or me? Or you're addressing me, I take it. Because I claim I'm not a far-right racist simply because, as I said, those words, it's like saying I'm not a horrible, evil, bloggy, boo, right? It's meaningless. It doesn't mean anything. It's pointless. I actually screenshotted these comments just in case. Helen Tucker says here in Hospital Porters Against Racism, what a confusion it all is. I never thought I'd be considered far right at 63 years old. The world has distorted totally out of shape. Helen, I know what you... Helen, honestly, when I was on my way to Warminster, I was sitting next to this family, just a family, and I got talking to them. They were from Littlemore in Oxford, and they were they were so ordinary. They were just sort of ordinary, kind of like working class guys and gals. And there was this old lady who was kind of the matriarch of the family, and she was there. There was her children and grandchildren, and she just saw a flag, an England flag, put up against the bridge at Botley, and she said, "Oh, that's nice." And we got into discussion, and she said she's going to go to this event. They're all going to it. They're ordinary people. They're just average people. They probably have black friends, to coin a phrase. how much longer? Even the Guardian are now admitting you can't just keep calling these people fascists and Nazis and things. And Gary says underneath, it's important to remember that you are not far right. It's a label that's been manufactured for people like yourself who are not willing to accept or condone the plans of evil people. The plan of the moment is to permanently change a large number of Western countries by introducing people who have no business being in those countries. Exactly. It's not racist to say that. It's the evil people aren't the people they're bringing in, although some of them are horrible criminals. The real evil people are the ones organizing it all, bringing them in. A lab base says underneath, quote, introducing people who have no business being in those countries, unquote. Not far right, just a bit racist then. Reminds me of that Father Ted sketch. Oh, I hear you're a racist now, Father. Well, ironically, the guy who wrote that, Graham Linehan, is currently being investigated for hate crimes and may end up in jail. But no, I mean, it's not racist to say that certain people should not be in here. If you disagree with me, then why did I need my passport when I went to the United States? Why did I need my passport when I went to Denmark? I needed authorization from those countries to allow me in. If you disagree with that and call yourself racist, then that's nonsense. Or call someone racist for thinking that's not an important issue. That's the whole point. The whole point of national boundaries, and national boundaries serve a purpose, and they're perfectly legitimate purposes. It's not racist to say that. It's ridiculous. Honestly, lab-based, that's crap, what you're talking. Crap. Or I'm glad you're a Father Ted fan. Rhiannon Raven says, pride and dignity. Pride and dignity to you too, Rhiannon. And that's on Hospital Reporters Against Racism. Dorset, that talk was excellent, Ben, says Red Snap. I'm just going to go through the comments that I actually screenshotted because... just in case some of them have been deleted. Let's have a look. No, I don't think they have. I don't know. No, they're all still there. That's good, guys. That's good. That's good. That's good. How am I doing for time? 50. I think I'm nearly at the top. I might just get this inside 2 hours. If not, I'll go on to very shortly onto the third hour. In fact, I kind of should make it the third hour now anyway because of basically because I stopped about. I'm 8 minutes over. So I might even have to edit some. I might just go to the end and just call this the third hour. I might edit the last couple of comments just to. I should have used the alarm. I know. Because like I said, it's actually I've got to add 8 minutes onto what I'm doing. So I'll put third here. And I think we'll go back as far as here, just maybe as far as this bit here. And I'll say third hour. There we go. Just bear with me, guys. I might edit this bit out, actually. So taking off some of that time. Anyway, okay, that'll do. That'll do. Paul Classman says, glad you took my advice and wore a baggy T-shirt. That's much better. Did you advise me to do that? Oh, you were there, weren't you? You were there because I had my jacket. I had an unironed shirt with lots of like lint all over it. And yeah. Oh right, it was you, Paul. Were you there? Was that you? Anyway, Hugo Root. I'm sorry, not Hugo Root. I keep mixing these people up with Steve Mumbling. Right, UFO Congressional Hearing 2025 live stream. Now this is Steve Mumbling. I did a little review of Steve Mumbling there. You don't like what I have to say because it's finally sinking in that gullible head of yours that I'm right. I said there wouldn't be any first-hand witnesses, and there aren't any. People telling stories just doesn't cut the mustard. Bigelow knew his method materials was just terrestrial industrial waste. When he sold it to Tom DeLonge, he ripped him off. Arrow confirmed the material has never been in space. No one has biological ET samples either because it's all bullshit. The 5 observables is a term invented by Lou Elizondo, the guy that invented ATIP. Just like ATIP, it's meaningless. When it comes to a claim as monumental as ETs are visiting this planet, only tangible evidence will do. Science fiction stories just aren't good enough. There's not a scrap of tangible evidence to link UAPs/UFOs with ETs. All right. Oh, where do I start disagreeing with you? Firstly, my head is not gullible, and secondly, you're not right. And there were first-hand witnesses. Well, Chief Wiggins, he was a first-hand witness. Chief Wiggins was one of those, and he's telling stories. But again, you demand. Oh, let's wheel the dead alien in now. Wheel it in now. You can't have it, Steve. As Ross Coulthard said, this process is not something set up for the entertainment of UFO Twitter. It's a serious business. It is an agenda. It's a schedule. And you can't just sit there saying, I want it all. I want it all. I want it all. And I want it now. You can't have that. Grow up. Let these people do their jobs and be patient. And Bigelow's metamaterials were real alien. I mean, he sold it. He didn't actually sell it to Tom DeLonge. He gave it away. And what's more, has been in space. Its isotopic ratio proves that. There's lots of biological ET samples, I believe. Sure, it hasn't been confirmed yet, but I think that's true. And my Reddit alien video, I think, demonstrates that, as does many, many other things. And what's more, you are the one who's going to have to admit you're wrong when all this comes out. I know the 5 observables was invented by Lou Elizondo. I never said anything less. And yes, he didn't. ATEP was his private project. It was connected to ORSAP, but yes, it was his private project. We know that. That's established now. And yeah, your next sentence is actually correct. Firstly, I wouldn't trust ATIP's judgment, so you're wrong about that. Just because ATIP says it's meaningless, well, Kirkpatrick, what do we trust him? As Luna said, he's a liar, and she sue me, basically, is what she's saying, or come at me, bro, to quote Nancy Mace. Now, you're right that a claim as monumental as ETs visiting the Earth, only tangible evidence will do, and it will in the long run. And well, they're not science fiction stories, but witness testimony is not good enough, but it is a step along the way, and there is evidence that link that. Now, Paul Classman says, as I said in the live chat, and my message was blocked, they don't like to hear the truth. Only fantasy stories and BS spouted by the usual crowd. These guys, like Ben, have invested so much into space aliens they can't let go. Very similar to being in a cult. Right, Paul, I guess you weren't the guy who was you can't have been the guy at the Dorset Earth Mysteries group, because you're a skeptic on Steve's side. Now, I didn't block, right, I'm glad you are not accusing me, because you are not blocked. You're perfectly able to post it in the live chat if you want. All right. I'll tell the mods now not to block Paul Classman. The rest of what you said here is simply rhetoric. Fantasy stories, BS spouted. Guys like Ben have invested so much into this, they can't let go. Well, if I had reason to let go, if there was reason to let go, I would have to, and I hope I'd have the courage to do so, Paul. I really do. So I think you misjudged me. I really do think if I really had good reason to believe this was all nonsense from the start, I think I'd hope I'd do what Brentley did and just come clean. Neil Sanders hasn't done that, by the way. He talks as if he's always been this worldly wise. But I don't think that's going to happen, because I have looked at both sides of the story. And Steve Mumbling says, Ben lives in cloud cuckoo land. He makes stuff up to bolster his failing cause. He said BLC1 was modulated complete. Utter rubbish. He's a waste of time. FFS. All right, well, there's a lot of rhetoric there. As for BLC1, that's kind of... I did say it was modulated because that's what I heard. Now, I think I was wrong there, because it's kind of gone quiet. Even Simon Holland is not talking about it anymore. I think that's just kind of like, it's kind of disappeared. It's one of these things that just people talk about for a while, then forget about, which means there's probably nothing in it. And Professor Unwemos says, oh yes, the mumbling dozer spruikit, the wordage regarding the absolute rubbish, all devastale, effectimost, and render it fallop into smithrikas. Oh, deep joy, and chuckload in the thorcus there. Yes, spruik is his word, isn't it? That's not unwinese. That's mumblingese. Yes, effectimost and render it all fallop to smithrikas. I think that means just saying that word makes it untrue. Oh, deep joy and chuckload in the thorcus. That means it's funny. Yeah. All right, Lab Base says on UF Congressional Hygiene. UF Congressional Hygiene? UF Congressional Livestream. I don't know why I said that. These hearings, Lab Base says, these hearings are highlighting what an absolute charade the truth-seeking UFO community has become. It's embarrassing that those testifying have any credibility to do so left. Did you listen to what they said, Lab Based? Did you listen to Dylan Bold, whatever his name was, and Chief Wiggins? Did you listen to those people? Did you listen to Spielberger and people like that? They've been dealing with the intelligence community. What's his name? I've forgotten that word now. They've been dealing with all these people now, and it's this, you can't just dismiss it. You're talking like this is just like a UFO conference, and there's some weird pink-haired person with spikes coming out talking about the Pleiadians or something. No, it's more than that. Get real. Paul Klasman says, it's always been full of nutters and scammers. Absolutely nothing has ever been proven. All I see here are vulnerable people being allowed to use a computer or phone to make fools of themselves. Not one of them an engineer or scientist. Just folk willing to believe any woo with no evidence because they find it interesting. I find the phenomenon of the believers more interesting and sometimes comical. So that's why you watch my channel, Paul. But you know what? Some of them are engineers and scientists. And you know what happens when they come out? You just discredit them even more, like Avi Loeb. And he's Harvard Baird professor of astronomy, and he still gets aggravation. He still gets called a grifter, selling books. Even though, you know, Megan, what's her name? Karen Meach has sold. She's got a book out. No one accuses her of that. You know why? Because she doesn't believe in aliens, so she has the book writing pass. You know. Butts Winter Wonderland. This is a good old video here. And Professor Unwin-Most says, now portly Ben Loader, all pridely dignified and Falstaffian most there. It's my Falstaffian person. Regarding bold global warmage and climate change loader, certain factloads are incontrovertibly bold. Even Jeremo Clarkses would have to agree that the ambient temperature of our planet is on the increase, with glaciers all full up in the Arctic Ocean. Flowers bursty early each year, Loader, and Easter was very nice year this, wasn't it? He says in English. Next, you'll be saying the earthly bode is a rotating discus, deep folly. No, I don't believe the earthly bode is rotating discus. I don't. In other words, a flatty. I'm not a flurfy, a flatter, whatever the Unwinese is for that. I think you just said it, rotating disc load. Yes, of course, the ambient temperature of our planet is increasing. Yes, it is, because climate change is a real thing. I don't deny climate change. What I do deny is that it's something we can do anything to stop, and that it is our fault. That's what I say. And also, it has not obeyed all the predictions. For example, I think that video is kind of an indication, because I remember about 20 years before I made that video, I remember being very, very sad when I read in a newspaper that basically within the next decade, the snowman would be a thing of the past. British children would no longer be making snowmen because there'd be no snow in the country. That, of course, has not come true. In fact, not just 10 years later, but 20 years later, you know, we still get heavy snowfall in this country at winter. Sure, it's not like Norway or Iceland, but it's still, you get a few snowy days a year. Not so much where I am in the south of the country, but, you know, last winter, for example, that's 2024 to 2025, very snowy in most of the country, actually. Yeah, I don't think it's deep folly. Right, hearing live stream Phuket. If I had Trump in me Picanto, we'd go Air Force One into the Mersey. That sounds like a Jerry and the Pacemakers song. If I had Trump in Mickey Canto, we go Air Force One into the Mersey. All right. Tatty Bogle, that's a good name. Here on Congressional Livestream, Tatty Bogle says, we are going into the third hour now. In fact, it's 1:08, so we're in the third hour now. Don't know why people get so angry about UFOs. I don't get angry. I get angry about the fact that they're secret. I like to look at the stories behind the stories, like Kenneth Arnold being of enlistment age in World War II and not a qualified pilot, but seemingly no service record. Right. I don't know. Was he a conscientious objector, perhaps? Or maybe he was accidentally dropped from the draft list. I don't know. Or the owner editor of the Roswell newspaper who reported on the flying disc being ex-military and only taken over in 1947. Right, yeah. In my book, Roswell Rising, a Novel of Disclosure, available at all good bookshops now, price £10, I actually have a fictional editor. He's called Owen Mollett. So I invented a fictional character to be the editor of the Roswell newspaper. I don't actually know who the Roswell Daily Record owner editor was in 1947, and he only took over that year. But you say you don't know. I'd like to look behind the story. So the owner editor of the Roswell Daily Record, who reported the flying disc, was ex-military and only took over in 1947. Okay, why is that relevant? What's your point there? Could you explain, Tatty Bogle? And then finally, he says, I can't change a damn thing about proof or evidence one way or the other, but it stops me from getting boxed in. So it's interesting to me. Right, well, that's good. I mean, I can't change anything. What's happened now? For some reason, I can't post a notice. Let me just refresh the page because we're nearly at the end of it. For some reason, it won't let me post a notice. I don't know why. Maybe it's because it's not something else is on my clipboard. I'll just make sure I've got the right thing on my clipboard. There we are. Maybe I cut and pasted something else by accident. I don't know. All right. Oh, oh, right. Well, that explains it. It's disappeared. Right. It's gone. It's gone. That's interesting. In fact, that's the end of the list. That's the end of the list. All right. That's strange. What happened was that Tatty Bogle must have literally deleted the comment while literally a few seconds before I was the comment's now being, I've read the comment now, so it's kind of preserved, but he must have just deleted the comment. Oh, that's a shame. Why did you do that, Tatty Bogle? Let me know if you're watching. Let me know. All right, that's the end of the community list, but now we're going to go on to the notifications that were actually made while I've been actually recording this video. And it's going to be just over 2 hours. So it's a bit, believe it or not, it's actually a bit shorter than I predicted it was going to be. Let's go down here. 5 minutes, 32 minutes. Okay, so we have a couple of them here. Someone has clicked like on. Thanks for your comment. It'll be answered approximately within the first hour. Okay, so now we have Over the Moon. Okay, Over the Moon has commented here on literally on 15. Tesla is great. I run it from sunlight captured by the solar panels on my Tesla is great. You mean your car, right? I understand. I run it from sunlight captured by the solar panels on my roof. Saves me a bloody fortune. And no, you don't, Over the Moon. You run it from the national grid. You are not allowed to charge it from the solar panels on your roof directly. If you do, you'll have people knocking on your door, accusing you of all kinds of things, from evading fuel tax to A, B, and C. No, your home. This is why it's so dodgy. Your home appliances that generate electricity, that is solar panels, or if you had a wind turbine in your garden, which is hard to get planning permission for those, but some people do. You don't charge you. You do indirectly benefit from it because that charges the national grid, and then you charge whatever you want, or your house runs off the national grid. So it's basically an indirect relationship. But there is no direct micro-generational relationship here between the electricity you produce and your usage of it. And that should actually be a really, really big, what's the word? I'll give you a love heart because that's a great comment. Does it save you a fortune? There's no, what's the word? This is not like micro-generation that the hippies do. All right, so you are still tied to the national grid as you have to be. And you think it saves you a fortune? Why? How much lower are your bills now? Be honest. Maybe if your bills are lower, it's not because you're generating this electricity, which technically is free energy, done in a very inefficient way, an unpractical way, which is why it's allowed. But you may get, for example. You may get rebates because you have solar panels on your roof. I know some people are thinking of getting them just for the rebates, but that's still not saving you money on your generation, technically. It's still connected to the electricity companies and the national grid. Good comment. I'm glad you brought that up, actually. I hope we got another one from Over the Moon just 31 minutes ago, who says here, how come you know? I'm not live streaming, am I accidentally? I don't think I am. Let me just double check. No, I'm not live streaming. It is a recording. I thought I did that once. I accidentally live streamed. That was embarrassing. Hi, Ben. Grok is only as blunt as when it's in unhinged mode. All right. I think I might have mentioned this on the last video. That's fine. As you know, Grok has several modes, one of them being conspiracy mode, which I mentioned in the email I sent you. Oh, did you? Have you had a chance to try it yet? Also, I've just uploaded a new AI-related video to my channel featuring Mo Gawdat, formerly of Google X. Really? No, I haven't actually. Did you email me? I don't remember that email. If I have, I will look it up. Maybe you did it since I haven't checked my emails for a couple of days. Maybe yours is there along with Pamela Lee Richards. I don't know. But yeah, you can program AIs to behave in certain ways. They even like imitate celebrities and things like that. Yeah. All right. Let me just look at your channel. Actually, let's have a look at your channel. I'll just show the viewers your channel as well. So this is Over the Moon's channel. All right. Here's Mo Gawdat. I have watched a couple of your videos, as you see. This is Mo Gawdat. This is AI. All right. So this is Mo Gawdat.
Expected AI to be creative and create art.
Oh yes, indeed, creative. So this is Mo Gawdat, AI today, tomorrow, and how you can save the world. Nordic Business Forum. Right.
Art or music. Now the child, turn the cylinder on its side, look at the...
Well, that's 29 minutes long, but right you are. Okay, I haven't had a chance to look at it yet, but I will happily do that over the moon as soon as I can. But thank you very much for that. Okay, we're going to go now back to... I'm going to just refresh the notifications one last time. Let's have a look. Right, that's it. Yeah, that's no more. Okay. Okay, guys. Well, thank you very much for all your comments. Much appreciated. There's been some great ones, actually. It's been exceptionally good, I think, this particular cycle. I can remember some of the comments I got have really been some of the best. So thank you very much for those. Obviously, if it weren't for the comments that you posted, this video wouldn't happen. So, you know, credit to you all for this. And I hope you'll provide some new comments, which will then go into reply to comments 117. Also, this if you're watching this on YouTube, you won't be able to see the Old Tech Annex. The Old Tech Annex is only available on Old Tech. So go to HPANWO TV on BitChute, Odyssey, and Rumble, and you can watch it there. So that's where I basically cover all the comments I've had on my Old Tech sites and the pages and channels there, because basically they're too saucy for YouTube. And this should be a particularly interesting Old Tech Annex, because I have an Old Tech exclusive for you. So I do hope you enjoy that. Hey, what's coming next? I've got no idea. What I do know is that 2 weeks from today, it is the Mars conjunction for 3i Atlas, and I will be doing at least one special video to do with that. In the meantime, I'll just have to think of some ideas, and maybe you can send me them, and I'll see what I could do. In the meantime, thank you, all of you, for watching HPANWO TV. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity. Stop the New World Order.
Conspiracies, government cover-ups, Earth mysteries, monster cryptids, psyops, saucers and black triangles, HPANWO.